Hello everybody and welcome to Sports AFL, and historic coverage today, a live match coming out of Melbourne on a Saturday, Richmond and St Kilda, and a very important match to both teams. They're both on a losing streak, unfortunately. St Kilda have lost their last three, so has Richmond, and they're both out of the eight, but they're both teams that showed a lot of promise last year, Richmond particularly, and at the start of this year for St Kilda. The Saints have been out there for some time. The crowd has built up in the last half hour or so, probably around about 35,000 now, getting towards 40. We expected something around 50,000 people. And there's Stewie Loewe, who until about a fortnight ago was the leading goal kicker in the competition, but Tony Lockett has had a spurt on in the last couple of weeks, and Loewe, with 48 goals in 10 matches, is currently in second place. Well, what a big match it is for both clubs. St Kilda were involved on Tuesday night. They had to play the extra quarter and a bit against Austinn, and we spoke during the week to both the coaches who are involved today, Robert Walls and firstly to Stan Alves, about the importance of that effort on Tuesday night in consideration of their chances today against Richmond.
We've got a lot to lose. We could still win the 4 points, but I'm just saying the priority has got to lie with the Richmond game. I'm not going to do anything which would disadvantage my players from putting on a performance that would be expected of them by their fans and by the supporters on Saturday against Richmond. But we do have a chance to play in a level playing field.
To be quite honest, most of the stuff that we've looked at saying over the last few days has been trying to give us an edge. We acknowledge that when the decision was made to go and play the game, that we were starting behind the 8 ball, and there was 20 points gap that we had to make up, and it was going to be difficult, and we were looking for every edge we could. But I can tell you right from the outset that the players were very committed. The leaders came to me even before it was announced that the game was going to be on, and said they definitely wanted to play if it did, and they put their hand up, and the decision was made that we might try and make a bit of the fact that perhaps we weren't really keen on the game, but we were red hot.
Well, I don't think it'll be much more difficult, Sandy. You know, they only played 3 quarters on Saturday, and they just finished off with a quarter on Tuesday night. So I would think that our training run here at Richmond on Tuesday night was in many ways harder than St Kilda's quarter of football, because, you know, we were really physical and hard at it. So I just think it was an equal balance there.
There's the coach and now the players. Richmond coming out on the ground. Gee, what a big match this is. Last year we're heavily involved in the finals. We're on top of the table with Carlton for most of the first half of the season. But this year, after a promising start, and remember they beat Brisbane in Brisbane, which was a mighty performance. They've struggled with losses to North, Fremantle in particular, and a close one to Carlton. Let's check the matches being played on this weekend, round 11. No matches last night. Today, North and Sydney at Optus, Hawthorn and Adelaide at Waverley, and Geelong at Footscray, Cardinia Park. I wonder if Gary Ablett can kick 8 to join 4 other men who have kicked 1,000 goals in AFL/VFL footy. Tonight should be a beauty, Brisbane and Carlton. And then tomorrow, Jared, I know you'll be at the Whitten Oval, live telecast on Sports AFL for Fitzroy and also Melbourne. West Coast play Collingwood, and Essendon here up against Fremantle. Got some changes today to both the line. How are you going, by the way?
Very good, and I'm looking forward to this game. I think that the Tigers really have to display the courage and the grit with which they performed for most of last season if they're to win. And as you said, there are some changes. They've brought in Bullis and Harrison, and also for his first game, Ben Moore, an 18-year-old from Glenelg. So something to be watching for today to see how he goes. But they do rely in the middle very heavily on Paul Broderick, who's having a stellar season, and Wayne Campbell, who was brilliant last season and got back to his best form last year. They do miss Matthew Knights, and it's up to those two players to really drive the ball down to Matthew Richardson, who kicked 6 goals, 6 last week, and a fantastic performance. The rend has been good for them this year. They need a bit of a lift in the goal scoring department from both Naish and Daffy if they're to kick a winning score today.
Yeah, you did your sums there, and they've kicked 15 less goals at this stage of the season compared with last year, though, the two little goal slinks. Now the Saints, Lappin and Wakeland, Shane Wakeland, come in from the team originally picked for Saturday night, but Everitt was rested on Tuesday. He's back, so it's a bit hard to actually put your finger on what's changed here.
They're good to see Lappin in for his second game for the season. Nathan Burke, I think, would have to be regarded as a mid-season Brownlow medal favourite. He just keeps on producing, Nathan Burke. He's almost got the 200th game as a co-captain. He's been an inspiration, and certainly he needs some support from the younger players and the middle of the range players. And as you said, Bruce, Loewe, I think it'd be a great battle between him and Justin Charles and Greg Deere. Important inclusion for Richmond.
What about your matchup, Stewart? Where should we be looking?
Well, I think we always consider Richardson when we're playing a match with Richmond, and Shanahan I think would be the obvious choice. Perhaps Jason Daniels at some stage if he gets away from Shanahan. I think Bond will have to pick up Harvey. Harvey's so destructive in the middle if he's allowed to run free. And Paul Bullis has had an excellent state of origin record against Stewie Loewe. Perhaps he can do it here against the Saints.
Thanks for that, Jared. We'll take a break on Sports AFL. Back with more after this.
Well, there's a thing about yeah, there's a thing about the thing about football.
I hear you guys worship Aussie rules. Hey, what sort of religion is that?
Sunday on Sports AFL. 11:45, North Melbourne's clash with the unstoppable Sydney Swans. Then live Australia-wide from 2 o'clock, it's a battle in the basement when the competition strugglers Fitzroy and Melbourne clash. At 5, Inform Hawthorn take on powerhouse Adelaide with a glamour encounter between the West Coast and Collingwood at 7:15. Then from 9:30, Essendon take on Fremantle. Your football on Sports AFL.
Back as we check the umpires today, all experienced. Chris Mitchell wearing number 4, Rowan Saws number 5, and Hayden Kennedy making up the numbers 7. 4, 5, 7, the umpires for today. Welcome, Robbo. How are you going?
Yeah, good, Bruce. Looking forward to a titanic struggle here. I think you've mentioned a few times about how important it is for both sides to win. I expect Richmond to win. I think they're a very good, hard side. And I just quite wonder who in the St Kilda lineup will be able to contain Matthew Richardson.
St Kilda winning the toss. They kick to the right of the screen. That's the main scoreboard end. It's a perfect day for football in Melbourne. Overcast. We've had a terrific week. It's been freezing mornings, but lovely sunny afternoons. There's Everitt and Loewe.
And up the other end, just to answer your question, Robbo, they've given Jaime Shanahan the first option on Matthew Richardson, but I don't think he's their problem for St Kilda. Even if they concede 6 goals to him, Richmond have to find another 6 or 8 goals from around the ground.
Prescott's got Burke by the look of it, Stewart, and Keogh went to ground and he's going to get a free kick out of the centre to start the game.
Brendan Gale and Loewe too.
Loewe provides a lead. Keogh goes in the Everitt direction, gets the ball inside 40. Everitt worked underneath the ball. It looked like it, didn't it? Bullis' handball away. Gasper under pressure. Everitt sweeps a long handball in the direction of Jones. Cut off by Campbell. Jones to Everitt. Could be an early score. It's a goal. What about that? No touch. Well, it went through with the goal umpire. Might have got a signal from the field umpire, Hayden Kennedy. So what about that, Robbo? It's a behind. That's what about that.
Well, I guess it's an exciting start for St Kilda fans. We'll have another look here, and it certainly cleared the players on the goal line. Stewart Loewe was happy with the result, but not in the finish because it's only a behind to St Kilda. It's Tate, goes down the boundary line, and Miranda has taken the mark. Hasn't he blossomed as a player since the coach has changed hands over the summer? Wakeland, handball clear to Nathan Burke. Chopped off there by Ryan. His kick, under pressure, is over for a boundary throw in on centre wing. A lot of people in the ground at the Richmond end. Obviously in the Great Southern Stand, a lot of that area is for members, AFL members, and most of the people are up the other end of the ground. ball cluttered into a small area. Ryan tackled by Burke. It was a good tackle. Ball spilled from Miranda. That was a great smother provided by Neil. He went after it again. Left foot kick towards half forward. Bounces at the feet there of Everitt. And it goes over for another boundary throw in. Two keys for St Kilda at one end of the ground, Everitt and Loewe. And we'll be watching Matthew Richardson with a lot of interest at the other end of the ground for the Tigers.
Campbell matching up on Aussie Jones early. Campbell coming out of a back pocket. Sirakowski pushed forward, that time by Lappin. Daniels trying to rob Bond. Prescott looked high at the tackle. Boundary throw in. Half forward left, St Kilda in attack. Burke and Sirakowski. Sirakowski won it, Young couldn't take it, Lappin, tape, well done Lappin, back to Burke. Burke goes back again to Keogh. Ordinary looking kick, but it was centred. Gasper got it away. Broderick, Campbell broke the tackle. Campbell good to take, nice build-up. Prescott away with a bounce. A second, can go a third if he wants to. Now delivers to full forward. Holland, Richardson's at the back. Now Richardson trying to get onto it. Shanahan, Holland, Richardson with it. Handball back. Just hoping Charles goes to ground. Shanahan, good hands by Everitt to Shane Wakeland. Good looking kick to half back. Brown didn't mark it, got held onto. No free kick. Handball over the top. Campbell well played. Got it to Gasper. Goes in board. Daffy should handball. Doesn't. Quickly kicks the ball forward. Richardson out of position. Punched away. Everitt back there. They're getting two back on Richardson. Naish can kick this. Left foot goes. And puts it through. It was exciting footy. And the Tigers get the first goal of the match.
Well done to Chrissy Naish too. He hasn't had as good a season to date as we would have liked in front of goal, but this goal basically coming from an error from St Kilda. Not enough talk here, where Shanahan on the ground could have easily taken a simple mark. The punch down came from Lazar Vidovic, and it was swooped upon by Naish, who read the ball well, stayed on the ground at the front of the pack.
Well, they've got one of those 6 or 8 goals other than Richardson there, Jared, kicked by Naish. The ball forced forward for St Kilda, and they've got a chance here. Daniels goes in, should kick this. Gee, it was another ordinary kick. Jason Daniels, for a current day AFL player, should have really made Richmond pay there and kicked the goal. Tigers get clear of the full back line. Campbell, well, he took a little bit too long. He was perhaps a little too confident there, Wayne Campbell. Forced to kick quickly. Has found the boundary line just inside the 50-metre area for St Kilda.
Interesting match-up on half forward for St Kilda. You've got young Tony Brown, a little midget rover, being picked up by Darren Gasper, who's a 6'4".
Boundary throw in. The ball spills to the front of the pack. Burke leaves it for Prescott, able to get his left foot to it, down towards the wing, and the mark is taken by Peckett. Very reliable player for St Kilda, Justin Peckett. Puts in a pretty good performance nearly every week. His kick towards centre half forward is a good one. Marking contest, but at the back it's a good mark taken by Gale. And we'll watch that with a lot of interest. Brendan Gale matching up on Stewart Loewe. The kick out to the front of Deer. If it bounces for the big fellow, which it doesn't, Harvey provides the pressure. Harvey with more mobility gets back, gathers, round onto his right foot, the little kick to the centre of the ground. Vidovic looks for the hand pass. No, he says, I'll do it on my own, says Big Lazar. And he kicks in towards the centre. No mark, the ball spills to the front. Burke nearly gathered. Daniels under pressure. Miranda's a chance, Lappin the tackler, ball locked up. And the umpire will bounce just 6 or 7 metres from the centre circle.
And the two St Kilda match winners in Harvey and Burke have got respectively Rogers and Chris Bond.
Burke, that's the Richmond Burke, Peckett. Quick kick by Ryan to full forward. Richardson in the front spot. Naish onto it again. Kick for one goal. Deer about 40 metres out. That's a goal.
Pretty ordinary umpiring decision.
Looked to throw out, didn't it?
Oh, you can't handball. It's impossible to handball it like that.
Well, let's just have a look at this one. A dead set looked like a throw, and that was red hot.
when the opposition kick a goal, gee whiz, the decision has really got to be questioned.
Well, I was having a look at the umpire's position. He was behind the play, but the other umpire, the central umpire, was facing it. Surely he should have overridden that decision.
Well, Richmond have got the second goal on the scoreboard. They lead by 11 points. Greg Deere to Bond. Bond can't get through. He's decked unceremoniously. He will get the free kick to tackle a little high. It's amazing how quickly a player will get up as soon as he sees the decision go his way. And Chris Bond, the player on the mark, is standing right in the centre circle. Bond went once, then went back again, hesitated, but got good distance with the kick to full forward. Burke and Surakoski. Hand pass away to Keogh. Keogh, creative from half back. That kick is not too bad, but just a little bit too low there for Aussie Jones. Gets the hand pass back to Keogh. Keogh's kick in towards centre half forward. That's a better one. Low, must be. No free kick again. Well, the umpire wasn't all that far away from it, and he saw it as all clear. Broderick's kick towards the centre of the ground. Deere. Daniels was just completely outnumbered 3-1. Richmond get away. Ryan's kick towards the half-forward area. Richardson could have been nearly paid the mark. Not forthcoming. Shanahan, his kick out towards right half-forward. And Daniels has the football. This will be a much better kick. In towards half-forward. It beats the players at their feet. Back goes Gaspar, and he's a chance to clear for the Tigers.
Looks in the Burke direction, Robbo. Kicks it out wide. Ball sits up. In hard with Surakoski. And it's going to be a boundary throw-in. About 80 metres from St Kilda's goal. They trail by a couple of goals early. 14 we're going for, currently 13. It might creep there, it may not. It's a good day for footy though. Keogh comes away, centering kick. Everitt waiting for it. Some indecision with Daniels, and Daniels couldn't take the give. Well played, Campbell. The little push. Another good battle. Jones, Everitt pushes forward. That's okay. Daniels back to Aussie Jones. Good kick. Front of the goal square. Gale and Loewe. Gale beating Loewe for strength early. Loewe pushes the ball out. Look to throw. Gaspar goes to the boundary line. Finds it out of play. Spirited start, and why not? Both these clubs have their seasons on the line. I don't think that is an exaggeration today.
And in the middle of the ground, I guess Paul Broderick has been Richmond's best player for the season. He's up against Robbie Neal.
Paulus doing the ruck work with Everitt. Little tap on by Tate. Broderick's hemmed in. Handball Campbell close to the line. Further to Bond, and Chris Bond just took his eye off the football. He was doing something with it before he really had possession. It slipped out and over for a throw-in. Best and fairest winner for the Tigers, Chris Bond. Right forward pocket for St Kilda. The Saints have kicked it behind. Richmond, on the other hand, have got 2 goals on the scoreboard. Prescott, hand pass intercepted by Daniels. Tate the tackler, gets it away to Burke. Nathan Burke, with just experience, hangs onto the football, kicks to full forward, low, punched away by Gale. Chance there for Prescott. Down again to Tate. Now the mark taken by Keogh. Coming up for kick number 6. And we've still got 13 minutes left in this first quarter. Just off the side of his boot a little bit, in towards centre forward. Gaspar left it behind. Neal and Naish. And the umpire will bounce at centre half forward for St Kilda. They've been in their 50-metre zone a fair bit, the Saints, but as yet unable to convert. Richmond by 11 points halfway through the first term. Chance there for Daniels over the top, not able to take the football with him. So the umpire again will bounce right on 50 metres, St Kilda's centre half forward position.
The odds from the National Sportsbook. Richmond hot favourites. 2's on and St Kilda 11-8 against. Harvey looking for a free kick. Bond's handball out into the centre square. Well played by the Bardsley to push forward. Bond tackled by Burke was excellent. That'll be a terrific duel all day. They'll keep going at it. Daffy got a shove after he kicked the footy forward. Broderick was there. Nice play by Neal. Burke off the ground. The little thing's important. Tape's handball well taken by Daffy. Quite brilliant. And then got the ball forward in the direction of Charles with Wakeland. The twins together at the back. Shane and Darrell under pressure. Holland goes in hard. Shane Wakeland can't hold it up. Darrell Wakeland looked lucky not to give a free kick away. Miranda in the pocket. Not a bad kick. In the post.
Kilda players resisting the urge to tap the ball over the boundary line, knowing full well that the umpire would be sweating on them.
That was the famous spot last year where Fitzroy got pinged against the Tigers.
The kick in to be done by Peckett for St Kilda. Just a little indecisive. Now he goes in towards centre half back. The kick is a bit of a mongrel one, but it bounced quite nicely in the finish for Nathan Burke. His kick finds Wakeland.
Did well.
That's Shane Wakeland, number 12, and his kick will find his brother, number 15, Darryl Wakeland.
You're going to have fun with those two today, Robert?
No, I think we might just call him Wakeland, Jared. What do you think? It's a safe way out of it, isn't it? His kick towards half forward, too high. The player's just misjudging it there. Terrific little handball provided by Aussie Jones. The kick has found Everitt, and the kick came from Jason Daniels. Well done. Just a little bit of a confidence builder there for Daniels. His first kick in the game was a very ordinary kick towards full forward when he perhaps should have converted. But on this occasion, he's given Everitt the chance to kick St Kilda's first goal. Should get the distance. And just floating across the face for a behind kick by Peter Everitt. So he has kicked St Kilda's two behinds. And the Tigers lead by 11 points there, 2-1. The goals coming for Richmond from Chris Naish and Greg Deere.
Campbell goes long, gets distance, looking for Bullis. Matthew Young and Rogers with him. Well done, Young, but the kick was average. Neil worked Broderick out of it. Vidovic toe poke was clever. Daniels and also Brown kept it in. Back to Daniels, over the top to Brown. Under pressure, left foot not bad, but Gale playing in front of Loewe takes the mark. He's taken the points early, Gale. Brendan Gale at the back on Stewie Loewe. 3 marks. Lowe's probably had a couple of 50-50 free kick chances and not gone his way. Kick out wide, Everitt punches away, and it's going to be a throw in at half forward. Peter Everitt, first kick went through the goals but was touched apparently by the man trying to spoil, and the second one he really should have kicked and missed from 40 metres. At the back, Vidovic. Roderick's handball terrific. Greg Deere on the receiving end.
And has a good look downfield. Kicks towards half forward. Terrific mark taken by Charles. The effervescent Justin Charles. Great player to have in your side. He's always excitable, whether he's got the footy or the opposition have got the footy. Oh, David Burke to kick a goal for Richmond. Well done. The ball slipping to the back of the pack. David Burke was fortunately for the Tigers in the right place at the right time. Richmond 3-1 lead St Kilda, 2 behinds.
Justin Charles creating a bit of an impact at centre half forward. Once again, fundamental errors there from St Kilda defenders who elected to go for the football instead of staying on the ground and minding their player. An easy goal there to Burke.
So Richmond 3-1 lead St Kilda, 2 behinds. The bounce at the middle. Young and Daniels. Deere. Back to Ryan. Well done. He got the kick to half forward.
Naish, little clever push out. Miranda, Richmond on top. Handball, gets back towards Naish, tries to push on. Lappin now under pressure, has to be accurate, gets to Shanahan, ever reliable. Hooks the kick, looking for Vidovic. May want the boundary line now, Big Lazar. It's still in play now out. 45 metres from Richmond's goal. It's a pretty important moment now for St Kilda because Richmond are just slowly but steadily building their advantage.
Well, the Saints have just got to get a goal on the board to give themselves a bit of a confidence booster. Peter Everitt's had 2 shots that could well have both gone through. Early in the game, just shed was.
2 free kick Bardsley, high tackle by, or bump really from Daffy. And Bardsley, who's had some hard knocks this season, is going to take the kick at half back. A bit of battering for Christian Bardsley this year. He's had a good season though. It's the season that he's made his mark in the AFL. Doesn't kick the ball long distances. Goes for everything he's got. Shanahan the target. Bond against him. Well done. The fly was okay. It's a big man, isn't he, Shanahan? Terrific defender. Came into the game late from Tasmania and has been a reliable player at St Kilda for about 5 seasons now. Vidovic, front spot. with him, dear. Two of the veterans in the game, even though Everitt hasn't played a lot of footy. Nathan Burke, Keogh, to Harvey, tackled well, doesn't have to give, goes away with a long one to fall forward. Front spot, Jones, good mark. He's a bundle of energy, isn't he, Aussie Jones? He's always quick at the footy. Sometimes the timing between how his mind is working and how his hands and feet can deliver are just a fraction out.
But he's a great reader of the ball, Bruce, and there we see just that split second in front. That's all you need in the forward line if it's going onto the chest.
I think he's a lot of people's favourite player. He's kicked the goal. There's just so much to like about him, isn't it?
Well, he's very, very creative, very skillful, courageous player.
Never forget the Nigeria after they won a big game, I think against Carlton in the night series, and we asked him what he was going to do. He said, I think I'll go home and have a Coke, he said. He was that excited, the little fella.
See, they nearly messed that up, didn't they? The two or three players there very close to the player delivering the hand pass, but in the finish, Harvey getting the ball down to Aussie Jones, and he did the rest. It was a good kick, good finish. St Kilda's first goal to Jones. Ruck contest won by Deere. Ball spills out for Daffy, somehow able to gather, and then handball on. Richmond a la the late 60s, early 70s, just to no one in particular. The kick there provided by Rogers was a good one, good for distance, didn't quite hook it enough. And Matthew Rogers gets his first score for the day, behind 3-2 to 1-2.
And a good sign for Richmond there as we see the St Kilda bench with Joel Smith there, Jaime, Elliott,
Darcy.
And Darcy. But good signs from Richmond there, just bursting their way through the centre. It was just like a steamroller. Lots of players coming off the centre of off the centre line. In particular, Nick Daffy, who just mongrelled a handball forward.
Well, Pickett's kick in has been just ill-directed. It's still in Richmond's half-forward area. Miranda, can he get rid of the football? Bond, good. Broderick squeezes it out to Daffy. Daffy shot for goal, and that's a very severe penalty for St Kilda. It's a goal of the Tigers. Well, you wonder there, it was obviously just a ill-directed kick in there by Pickett, a little bit too far for the players that it was intended for, then a misunderstanding.
Yes, it just didn't hit its mark. And I think Daffy just showed his intent earlier in the game with a burst off the centre as we just described. And sometimes when you're going that flat out of the football, it comes your way and you make your own luck, and there was his first goal.
So Daffy and Naish both scored in the opening term, 4-2 to 1-2. They were two of the keys that Gerard spoke about before the match. And their ability to kick goals this season compared with last. Broderick with a bit of a word to say to his St Kilda opponent. 4-2 to 1-2, 3-goal margin. Robert Neal there with Broderick. Deere unopposed really against Everitt. Young back to Burke, getting some nice touches early. On the left, forced to go wide. Brown and Campbell. Good take, Brown. Long way from home, but a nice mark.
7 possessions to Nathan Burke.
And about 3 or 4 very ferocious tackles also, with which add up for plenty at the end of the day.
Tony Brown. One of the triumphant, isn't it? Brown, Jones and Smith we think of coming in together. 95, he looked for Loewe. Free kick, going to Loewe this time. Well, that was probably the least obvious. We've seen a couple of others today. So big moment here because Loewe is a confidence player. Just saw the hand on the shoulder from Gale. The crowd don't think as much. A confidence player re-kicking. If he can kick straight early, it'll make a huge difference.
They do tend to square themselves up because I was looking at one off the ball before where Stewie caught one right across the chops.
Got a kick from about 48. Hooks it. Didn't look good from the moment he dropped the ball. So behind to Gale, to Loewe. So Loewe and Everitt had 3 shots between them in the opening term, the Twin Peaks, and they've got the 3 points. So it's 1-3 to 4-2, getting deep into this first term.
Brendan Gale. Matching up at this stage on Stewart Loewe. It's a pretty good kick of the football. This is well outside 50 metres. Ball at the back for Nathan Burke, possession number 8, and he kicks it back to the goal front. There's a free kick, this time it's against Loewe, and it will go to Gale. So the ledger, 1-1 apiece. 4-2 Richmond, 1-3 St Kilda. 5 minutes left in the first term, and again it was pretty much a Tiggy Touchwood situation. Gale's kick again is 50 metres plus, but a good mark taken by Young.
He's been impressive this season.
This is his third possession in the game. He's kicked towards full forward, low at the back, punched away by Gaspar, gathered by Neil, just got his right foot to it. Jason Daniels, he's just too frightened to kick. Aussie Jones hits the post.
Well, one of the problems that Aussie Jones has had right throughout his football career that I've known him, which is about 4 years, is he does tend to hurry the ball onto his boot. And once again on that occasion he did have a fair bit of time to just settle, and he threw the ball under the boot and hit the post, where a goal really was the only result that was acceptable.
So 1-4 to 4-2. Wayne Campbell asked to get on with it now by Rowan Saws, and he's going to go for distance and gets it. Thumping kick to half-back Everitt and Deer. Bullis keeping his eye on it. Young gets away from Broderick, gets it out to Harvey at centre wing. Reasonably quiet early, but he often builds a game, Harvey. Goes to Neil. Neil's kicked to Vidovic, okay, at about 48, can go on Vidovic. Jones on his own. Look at this, he's got it. Good kick, Lazard. Spotted him and went for him. And little Aussie's going to kick the second goal of the match for the Saints, you'd reckon.
Well, I think Stanells has really got this Aussie Jones' position worked out now. A mobile forward, but basically at the feet of Stewie Loewe. He's smart enough to get a mark, get on his own, and smart enough to kick multiple goals.
He's got his second. Important goal for the Saints. They're closing again. 2-4 to 4-2.
Kilda lead in every area of statistics so far,
Except the one that counts.
on the scoreboard.
That's right, but I think the Saints haven't got a lot of confidence at the present time. They have been down, and they really are just struggling at the present time. But if they can get a couple of more easier ones like this, then the confidence grows. A few easy ones out of the centre would also help. They've moved Big Everitt in.
So the bounce back in the centre, 4-2 to 2-4. Kick towards half forward for Richmond, and there's a free kick back near the centre of the ground, and it's going to go to Robert Neal. Obviously an infringement. He's kicked wide, and it's marked by Daniels. 3.5 minutes left in the first term. It's been a fairly interesting match so far. Daniels kick towards the centre half forward area, low, this time in front, too strong for Brendan Gale, and has marked 45 metres out. Perhaps a little closer, but it'll need to be a 50-metre kick to score. Stewart Loewe, one kick, one mark. So with his second kick, he may get St Kilda's third goal. It's a pretty good kick, right to the line, just off to the right, and registers a behind.
I think that's the difference between the Stewart Loewe of the last month and the Stewart Loewe of the first month of the year. Those goals were going through. He was very accurate and confident with the football, even around the 50-metre mark. But just not at the moment. His kicking has left him.
Campbell to bring him back in. Couldn't miss, could he, Jared? Like in the night final, he was just banging them from everywhere. And Everitt's also slightly off target, so important that they get full results. Kick out in the direction of Burke from Campbell. Free kick going to Ryan. One of 3 teenagers out there for Richmond today. His kick to centre wing. Charles and Wakeland with him. Peckett and Daffy close to the line. Getting in there was Bardsley. Boundary throw in. 4 goals 2 to 2 goals 5. Sirkowski and Burke. Burke came from the side. Sirkowski got his punch away. Daffy tackled at the line by Peckett. Boundary throw in.
Ben Harrison coming on for his first run, just giving Greg Deer a bit of a rest. Interesting watching Daffy sprint for the ball there with his man in Peckett. It did appear as if Daffy had a few yards pace over him.
Well done by Naish, but he's not able to keep it inside the boundary line over on the full, so the free kick will be taken for St Kilda at left half back by Lappin.
Everitt on his own.
This is Matthew Lappin. Kick towards the wing, knocked away from Burke by Bond, over for another throw in, right on centre wing. 2 minutes left in the first term. Richmond 4-2, St Kilda 2-5. Ozzie Jones has kicked St Kilda's 2 goals. The Tigers are all singles. Daniels gives away a little bit of ground. Back he goes to Keogh. Keogh's high kick will land near half forward. Bond. No, taken away by Gale. That was fairly positive by Brendan Gale. His kick towards half forward. Wakeland couldn't take the mark. Lappin somehow gets through and then kicks into towards the centre. And it's a free kick for Richmond. It'll be taken by one of their goal kickers, David Burke.
Picking up Sierakowski at centre half back.
Burke kicks across the line. Oh, well done. It had to come from somewhere. It came from Robert Harvey. The big Justin Charles stood his ground and has taken the mark between the centre and left half forward. Favouring the Tigers. Richardson provides the lead on the full forward line. The kick is not bad in that direction either. Couldn't take the mark. At the back, Merenda gets his right foot to it, slams it towards goal, offline, way offline. And it's out of bounds on the full. The central umpire thought he was just going to confer there with the boundary umpire, but everything all clear. And the free kick will be taken by Matthew Lappin in that left back pocket for St Kilda. 4-2 the Tigers, 2-5 St Kilda. And St Kilda won an exciting reserves game here early today. One of their players kicked a goal right on the siren. They won by a point.
Lappin looking for Shanahan and Everitt. Rogers taking off the ball. Ryan, Daffy, very good play to Prescott. Floating kick, going to be close. I think it's a goal. I doubt whether it was touched. He's got it. It's a bonus, isn't it, when Prescott and Greg Deere kick goals in the opening term. 5-2 to 2-5.
Yes, and once again a fundamental error in defence there. This time by Jaime Shanahan costs St Kilda a goal. And I'm sure Stan Els will be just about pulling his hair out at the undisciplined acts that some of these charges have been performing in the first quarter.
So back at the centre, good tap on by Charles. Now Daffy just forces the ball forward, then gets a kick towards the full forward area. The mark taken by Shanahan out in front of young Ben Holland. And St Kilda to hold the Tigers up momentarily. We're into the last minute of the first quarter. Richmond lead by 15 points. They're 5-2, St Kilda at 2-5. Crowd just egging Shanahan on to get on with the game. There's a rule for kicking in, but there's obviously no rule as far as Shanahan's concerned to hurry up his kick from there. He took ages. Kick to half back, that's a mark to Everitt. Had about 5 grabs, he can kick it into the middle. St Kilda can move this. Tony Brown to Daniels. It's got to be a good kick, Jason. In towards half forward, out in front of Loewe. He nearly took the mark, but he's going to get a free kick, is he? For being held onto in that contest. And Brendan Gale, not much argument from that player. Loewe to kick from 50 metres once again. Just stretches the big fellow. He kicks though, and he does it well this time. Goal to St Kilda, kick by Stewie Loewe.
Well, that was an interesting one from the big fellow there, Stewie. He didn't go back and paw at the ground. He just went back as if to say, well, I've done all the technical things before and kicked a couple of shockers. I'll just go back and kick this one in a bit of a hurry, and certainly enough it went straight through. But a good transition from St Kilda, bringing the ball out of defence. An important goal for them also, just to keep in touch. Now had one more scoring shot than the Tigers, but they trailed by 9 points.
5-2, 3-5. Been an entertaining opening term. Charles with a backhander. Beckett. And the siren sounds to conclude the opening quarter with Richmond 5-2 and St Kilda 3-5. The margin 9 points. Naish, Prescott, Daffy, Greg Deere and David Burke the goal scorers for Richmond. And Loewe has one and Ozzie Jones a couple for St Kilda. Jared, your thoughts?
Well, it just appeared that the Tigers settled a little bit better than St Kilda. They appear to have just a little bit too much pace on the forward line, in particular the half forward line. And as you can see, a little bit of player unrest amongst the St Kilda supporters, amongst the St Kilda players there, with Keogh really serving it up to one of the Wakeland brothers. Obviously just something happened out in the field in the first quarter has unsettled them. but now looking as if they're on pretty good terms. But the pace up forward of Richmond has been a bit of a concern for St Kilda. They've done better out of the centre than the Saints. And it's interesting, Robbo, that they've got 5 goals, 2 on the board, and Matthew Richardson has yet to really have an influence.
Have a think about that, Robbo. We'll take a break on Sports AFL. It's 5-2 to 3-5 at quarter time. Welcome back at quarter time. Richmond 5-2, St Kilda 3-5. So a 9-point game. And the goal kickers, Naish, Prescott, Daffy, Deere and Burke for Richmond. And Jones has a couple and Loewe has one for St Kilda. Now the other matches, North Melbourne 4-5 leads Sydney 2-1 at quarter time. So they've had 9 scoring shots to 3. Hawthorn 3-3, Adelaide 6-6. I'm pretty sure Adelaide had 5 goals on the board before Hawthorn kicked their first. And Geelong trail Footscray at Cardinia Park 3-3 to 4-3. Now a reminder about tonight on Sports AFL at 7:30 it's Geelong and Footscray, followed by North Melbourne and Sydney. What a great night on Sports AFL. Those 2 replay matches this evening. We just saw Robert Walls a moment ago, now Stan Alves. How happy do you think that'd be, Jared?
Well, I think Stan would be pretty pleased that they got back into the game, because certainly halfway through the first quarter it did look as if St Kilda were going to have one of those days. They couldn't put set shots through the middle, they couldn't put snaps through the big sticks, and finally with Aussie Jones they got someone who could get a goal on the board, and I think they probably finished the quarter in about an even Steven situation with Richmond. But when you consider that the Tigers are in front and Matthew Richardson with only 1 handball, you would say that they've both got plenty in reserve.
Saints bench as we go back to the start of the second term at the Melbourne Cricket Ground on an overcast but pleasant day in Melbourne. Everitt gets a run at it, pushes forward, goes in the direction of Neil. Burke and Neil ran into one another. Broderick's handball back to Daffy. He had an energetic opening term where he kicked the goal. Quick kick by Prescott, back to Everitt. The ball nearly dying there to Keogh. We saw Keogh giving it to one of the Wakelams at quarter time. Oh, good effort by Elliott against the tie to take the mark.
Yes, a great mark. As you can see, he's got a problem with his left shoulder, but no regard for personal safety here, just following the ball. He could see Coach Cheesby, Peter Everitt coming at him, and he was lucky not to be scalped.
It's always handy when Coach Cheese is on your side, Jared, as yes. Elliott leans back and kicks the goal. Ex-Tiger, ex-Lion. So that's what happens to Tigers and Lions. They become Saints. 5-2 to 4-5, 32 to 29.
Well, it was a saintly goal, this one, because Saints just showing the value of getting the ball out of the centre. A bit of a mongrel kick to the gap there. Always open that space in between centre half forward and full forward when a quick kick comes out of the centre. And a courageous mark and goal by Jaime, his first for the year.
Well, I think we saw Jaime Elliott show a lot of quality as a player when he was at Fitzroy. He struggled a bit at Richmond, but that certainly was a great goal. Tigers a chance here. Campbell, Prescott, now Rogers off the left foot towards full forward. Charles gets back. He may kick it off the ground. No, he grabs it, but wasn't that well done for a big man? Terrific goal by Justin Charles. 6 individual goal kickers for the Tigers, and they lead 6-2 to 4-5.
Well, a great burst out of the centre by Campbell for Richmond, and then Rogers, who's playing on Rob Harvey, getting this quick kick out now. Jamie Shanahan just not able to make up the legs there, or the pace there to get to the goal kicker in Justin Charles, and probably had to dive at his boot if he was to have a chance.
Status quo, 6-2, 4-5, back to 9 points. Daffy tried to ride the bump. Good play by Daniels to New. New to the pocket. Loewe on the lead. Gale with him. Loewe goes to ground. Will be a boundary throw. It was out of play. 1-2 to Stewart Loewe in the opening term. Gale had some moments on him, but Lowe's late goal was important.
With Campbell coming onto the ball, he's got a new opponent in Jack Daniels.
Loewe and Gale to do the ruck work. Pushing forward, Campbell. Out of play, but 10 metres closer to St Kilda's goal. best and fairest at the club last year, one of the favourites for the Brownlow medal.
He's only had 1 kick and 3 handballs so far, Wayne Campbell, in the match.
Throw in from the back, Gale. Broderick, good hands to Prescott, to Naish. Naish at centre wing, goes to half forward, Richardson. This is her first take today, runs away, kicks the ball long distances as we know, that one high.
Down the ground.
Yeah, and against Shanahan, umpire not happy, so the free kick going to Holland about 20 metres from goal.
Do you see that as happening as he kicks the ball? We're going to have another look at it here. There's Matthew Richardson with the footy. Certainly seconds after.
So a bit of feeling now as Holland goes in and kicks a goal.
It's a bad mistake, isn't it, when you think about it?
Well, I think the mistake always comes just in the frame of mind of Jaime Shanahan. It would have, my first thought there, and I'm not sure about you, Robbo, would have been to smother the football. When clearly if you're going for the man, you really haven't got the ball in your frame of mind or at the forefront of your mind. So that's a clear indicator to the umpire that the downfield penalty is justified.
Well, I think that's a fair assessment, Jared, and Richmond justifiably in the finish get the goal through Ben Holland.
7-2 to 4-5. Greg Deere and Lazar Vidovic. Deere doesn't take much of a run up, neither does Vidovic for that matter. Vidovic wins it out of the centre, Miranda, good mark. There's always going to be a little tight in there, gets it to Rogers, out to centre wing, Ryan the target, Richmond enjoying a good patch here, Bond on the lead, Ryan's kick was a floater, slow one, well done Lapham, but Bond was given little chance there, and the tackle by Elliott was okay on Burke for a boundary throw in. Half forward right for Richmond, they lead 7-2 to 4-5. Vidovic and Deere, body to body. Young took it from the front. Then Ryan gets the handball, cut off by Neil, good play. High ball, back to centre wing.
He's given St Kilda some good service, Robert Neal. He's kicked towards half forward, is taken by Jones. Jones hooks the kick, very well done, towards the front of the goals. It was an excellent kick, it got reasonable distance, but it made it difficult for the Richmond defender coming out from behind Everitt. And Everitt is marked.
Also a great passage of play just to get the football there from Jones. He's up against Gaspar. He's got a new opponent. Campbell picked him up early, but he bodied him under the ball and took possession. The kick was outstanding.
Everitt's kick from 50 metres will get the distance, but not the accuracy. And St Kilda's scorecard not really giving them true indication of their ability so far in this match. 4-6 from 10 scoring shots. Richmond, on the other hand, from 9 scoring shots, is 7-2.
Gale straight down to Deere, good kick, good mark. Shanahan off the ground, by the way, for St Kilda. Darryl Wakeland now on Matthew Richardson. So Greg Deere from centre half back to Damien Ryan. Just balances up. Then kicks the ball to Miranda. Vidovic took his eye off it and went straight through Miranda.
Well, this is just throwing the game away from St Kilda. This is almost unprofessional, I believe.
Miranda's up. He's a long way from home. Richardson leads. So does Holland. Miranda goes long to the goal square. Richardson caught out of position. Sierakowski had a lot of it. Daffy couldn't quite. Will be disappointed. He normally kicks those. Pickett kicks the ball away. Daniels. Or Young it is. Thank you, Robbo. Young's back turn, under pressure. Tries to get it to Elliott. Elliott ridden into the ground by Burke. No free kick. Now Broderick. Handball over the top. Well weighted to Ryan. Ryan's quick kick away. Not so good. Through Wakeland. Through Charles. Beautifully played by Holland. Daffy kicks his second. And the Tigers are away. They've pinched the break now. Richmond 8-2 to 4-6.
And add insult to injury, the Saints have got their injury problems in Sierakowski, who did his knee, I think, when he went for that mark. Unfortunate handball, this one, because it found its mark, but I would have considered that almost a push in the back. He was written into the ground, but the classic piece of play came from the tap from Charles. It was a beauty. In fact, it was Holland there that just tapped it out to the best option in Daffy, who cleaned up.
David Sierakowski in a little bit of trouble there with his left knee, and Wakeland, Matthew Richardson just trying to get a bit of a loosen up in his leg as well. Ruck contest, Everitt drops down to Bond. Bond off his left foot to half forward. Well done by Naish to make it difficult for Bardsley. Bardsley looking for the free kick. Naish goes on with it. Gets it to Miranda. Miranda inside 50. Straightens up. Goes for goal. This will bring the house down. But it doesn't because he's missed. Great football by the Tigers. Mark Miranda's second scorers are behind. Richmond 8-3 leads St Kilda 4-6. And Stan Elves has had his little chat to Jaime Shanahan, Jared.
Yes, he's come back onto the ground to replace the injured Sierakowski.
Peckett to kick in. Goes short. Too short. Young in trouble. Able to tap it clear. Oh, Naish is going to get a goal. So simple for the Tigers. Terrible defensive work by St Kilda. And Richmond get their 9th goal on the scoreboard. 15 minutes left in the second term. They lead 9-3 to 4-6.
Well, it's almost speechless stuff, this business. I mean, there is an old adage in football, Robbo, keep it simple, stupid.
I agree.
And I would think that just right at this moment, that would be good advice to a few of the St Kilda defenders.
9-3, 4-6. Poor Peckett. He's had 3 kick-ins and they've all been a disaster. Got away with the first one, maybe, but the other 2 have resulted in goals. So the designated kicker is out of form from the centre. Prescott kicking the ball wide. Richardson and Shanahan. The Saints desperately need a couple of goals. Shanahan kicks the ball to centre wing. Brown keeps his eye on it. Didn't take it though. Well played. Burke having a good match. Then under pressure. Elliott okay to Brown. Brown takes a little while. Centenary kicks a beauty to Everitt. Now kick the goal. Everitt, you've had 3 shots, big fellow. They need this one.
Gee, down here in front of us, isn't that oval ball a terrible thing? David Burke did nearly everything right in that passage of play and finished up. I think his man got the ball just because it slipped out of his grasp.
Come on, big fella, kick this.
We need this one for the match, I think, Bruce.
9-3, 4-6. 3 behinds to Everitt. He's missed 2 from similar distance set shots. The first one was a good snap, it was touched. That's better. It's a goal. Full marks to Brown and Jones. Tries to deliver the ball on the left beautifully to Everitt, and that time he's taken advantage of it.
Yes, you see there just Burke slipping over a couple of times on the logo area. And here's Burke centering the ball beautifully with his left foot.
Brown, Joe.
Sorry, that was Brown. And getting it to the big fella. Boy, the kick-ins for St Kilda. We saw them cost themselves a match almost in Adelaide, Bruce, a few weeks ago with a similar performance from kick-outs. And speaking to Nathan Burke a couple of weeks ago, he says it's been one of their strengths over the year.
Not today.
9-3 to 5-6. A free kick at the centre to Greg Deere. He kicks in towards centre half forward. Richardson spoilt there by Wakeland. Goes after it. This is young Holland. Handball. Very well done, Broderick. Very deliberate. Daffy. Can he get his third? Nick Daffy's kick. It's going to be marked anyway. Right on the line by Matthew Richardson. The angle will be a difficult one. There's only a matter of 3 or 4 metres from the goal. He runs around, kicks with the left and puts it through for a goal. So halfway through the second quarter, Matthew Richardson has kicked his first goal, and it is only 1/10 of Richmond's goal score at this stage. The Tigers 10-3, lead St Kilda 5-6.
Once again, just the pace and the quick hands of the half-forward line in combination with the midfield of Richmond creating a goal here. Jaime Shanahan just not backing back enough there to put some physical pressure on Richardson, and he finishes with a goal. There's been a change made on Peter Everitt. He's now got Gaspar. Bullis has come off the ground and Gale has come on to pick up Aussie Jones.
10-3, 5-6. A lot of jostling in the centre square at the moment. Out of the centre, Keogh, Burke, tackle. Prescott in there and also Campbell, and it's going to be a bounce. So Richmond right on top.
Just goes to show the versatility of Darren Gaspar. He's picked up Aussie Jones at one stage, and Tony Brown, and now he's picking up Peter Everitt. Good pickup for Richmond over the summer.
Young pushes the ball forward. Ryan and Burke leading. Good pick up by Burke. Kick to centre wing. Daffy and Prescott. Daffy well on top in that duel. Boundary throw in. Prescott off the ground. Darcy coming on. Not too often this year, or in the last 3 years, that Prescott and Shanahan have been taken off the ground because they've been outpointed. That's happened today. Broderick going well. To Campbell. To Deere, who's having a pretty good match. Straightens on the left and kicks the ball in the Richardson direction. Shanahan gets rid of him with some strength and takes an easy mark in the end. They've been the mainstay, haven't they, Shanahan and Prescott at the back for 3 seasons now. And the one thing you could rely upon was their consistency and reliability. But today they're making errors. And they've cost the Saints some goals. Shanahan kicks the ball slowly and very high to Everitt. Kia has a bit of a chance now to kick the ball forward to half. Terrible kick. Gale, that's Michael who's just come on the ground. Elliott stood his ground. Good take by Rogers.
Across half back line, the Tigers may be able to set something up, but that kick disappointing for Matthew Rogers. Brown kicks it quickly to Nathan Burke. Nathan Burke is forward at centre wing. Player short as Jones. Oh, Nathan, he was there for a long time. Burke's kick to centre half forward. It's going to be a St Kilda mark taken by Big Everitt. He'll kick quickly, will he? No. Yes, he will. He goes for Loewe. It's a good kick. Lowe's got it. 30 metres out. Perhaps even a little closer. 25 on a 45-degree angle. Stewart Loewe for his second goal. .11.5 minutes left in the second term. And St Kilda, if they're to win this match, Loewe has to kick this goal. They trail at this stage by 27 points. He could bring it back to 21 with this kick. Lowe's kick, well done. He's got his second goal. So it is 21 points the margin in favour of Richmond. 10-3-63, St Kilda 6-6-42.
Once again, Greg Deere coming off the ground halfway through the quarter to be replaced by Ben Harrison. Allows him to keep fresh, but certainly a goal that was required. It was Nathan Burke who ignored Aussie Jones and wanted to keep the ball more down the corridor. Got it to Everitt, who got it to Loewe, who finished off with a big one.
Charles on the ball, Everitt with him. The Saints try to get it out. Pushed forward by Broderick. Everitt in the direction of Joel Smith. Well done, Harrison. Bond around the body. He's been able to kick Burke quite in this term, and Harvey's had very little impact. Bardsley well played, runs away, then delivers to centre half forward. Low, big stretch, couldn't quite. Joel Smith a bit slow, just coming onto the ground. Burke, good umpire to let this go. Low pushes forward, Smith onto it. Good bounce, can finish. Clever kick, no behind. Kept it low, ran it up. So that'll settle Smith coming on the ground. Hard sometimes to get into the tempo as we look at the Richmond bench and one of their players having a hamstring worked on. Prescott gets a 10-3-6-7.
Prescott's kick towards the wing. Ryan knocks it down to the feet there of Gasper. Gasper one bounce, settles, then kicks it towards centre half forward, beats all players. At the back there was Neil. He couldn't control the football, and a pack of 3 players go down after it. Can't clear, so the umpire will bounce. 45 metres from the Richmond goal. The Tigers lead 10-3. The Saints are 6-7. 10 minutes left in the second term. Desperate football by both sides. Vidovic, it's knocked forward. Back towards the middle of the ground. Taken by Darcy. Darcy's handball is pretty good. Neil getting quite a few possessions in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Kick to half forward. Low. Desperate stuff by Gale. And again by Broderick. And it goes over for a defensive boundary throw-in, if you could classify it as one. 50 metres from St Kilda's goal. And the ruckman to assemble. Lowe to do it for St Kilda. Gale to do it for Richmond. Over the top is Charles, a big punch. Tony Brown, number 2, gathers. Rogers, reasonably well done. Just disguised that hand pass as if he was trying to keep it in. We've seen some of those paid against the player.
And Rogers doing a pretty good job on Rob Harvey at the present time. Harvey with only 3 possessions. Stan Elsmuskie be asking himself, does he push Harvey deep into the forward line or perhaps to the half-back line to get him some of the football?
Campbell to Gale, and here's Rogers in question, Jared. Actually, Harvey's been trying to get himself on Broderick, who's standing Smith, and he hasn't been able to do it. There's been some cat and mouse going on there, Jared, as Naish had the ball smothered courageously by St Kilda opponent and a boundary throw-in. So I think St Kilda recognise that Rogers well on top of Harvey, and they're just trying to change the balance in that situation. 10-3, 6-7. It's a good lead. The Saints need the next one and then maybe one after. Neil. It's been a bit of a story of their season, St Kilda. They've been beaten so often by 4 goals this year, and it's about what they trail by now. 10-3 to 6-7.
I'm not sure there'd be anything wrong with just trying Rob Harvey across the half-back line in a very attacking role. He would need mining there just as much as across half-forward, but would have more licence to run around.
Burke not able to get the kick away. Daniels back in after it with Wayne Campbell, and the umpire will bounce once again. I think you can see the players acknowledging the importance of this game. There's some desperate stuff being shown by both teams, and at this stage Richmond on top. 10-3 to 6-7. Wakelin and Harrison. Harrison's tap out. Bond was well tackled, and the ball just gets locked under those players' legs there, Nathan Burke and Chris Bond. Chris Bond gets a pat on the head from Chris Naish. Umpire will bounce on centre wing. So it's probably the 3rd or 4th bounce of the ball by the central umpire in much the same area. Some tight tackling, harassing by both sides. Taken by Harrison, couldn't clear the pack. Burke, desperate stuff again by Bond. And Nathan Burke just frustrated there, tosses the ball back. Some negative work by both sides on the outer centre wing. Wakelin, Harvey. Wakelin again, gets his left foot to it, to centre half forward. Marking contest, chance for Gale, he's caught by Neil, good tackle, ball spills for Harvey. Can he create something? He shrugs the tackle, bounces, handballs. Ozzie Jones going for his 3rd goal, he's dogged it. Saints are pretty happy, well done Ozzie. 3 goals to Jones, St Kilda get their 7th, 14 points the margin in favour of the Tigers.
Well, he had to kick this one, Ozzie Jones, because Harvey really just drew the man and laid it off to him. And he also had Rod Keogh at the top of the square vacant. And Keogh has come off the ground now for Justin Peckett. I just get the feeling whether the Saints have identified pace as being a little bit of a concern, even though they have kicked the last 3 goals. Richmond do look to have an edge in the pace department.
10-3 to 7-7, the game closing again, as it did in the opening term. Everitt, a bit of licence from the umpires in the centre. Darcy quickly to Smith, could be an important player. The kick not so good though, Peckett might get a lucky break. Ball wouldn't sit, he works it in front, well played Peckett. Left foot going for goal, close. Stewie's got it. Not paid play on well done Gale. Was the right decision. Out towards half forward. A long chase there from Brown, a bit slow to react. Jones normally quick, beautiful handball. Neil straightens up, balances, kicks the goal. No, touch. It didn't quite get there. It's 7-8 to 10-3.
Well, Justin Peckett must be very disappointed, because in 63 games of footy, Robbo's kicked just the 1 goal. And that would have been another treat for him to go home and consider his 2nd. But a good effort by Brendan Gale, who was it's been a pretty good duel down there with Stewie Loewe. As has Chris Bond and Nathan Burke in the middle.
And Robert Neal really should have kicked that though, shouldn't he? I mean, he was only 30 metres out and he tried to steer it through. Kick in nearly taken by Charles. Daniels gets it back to Everitt. Everitt across his body to centre half forward. Could have been classified as interference. Jones couldn't take it. Gale tries to tap it onto the advantage. Michael Gale, his brother, caught. Ozzie Jones, can he kick his 4th? It will bounce through for a goal. Ozzie, you're a hero. The game is far from over, but Ozzie Jones, there'll be a few number 29s running around out there in the crowd next week. 10-3 to 8-8, and Jones has kicked 4.
Well, just reiterating that I think that Ozzie Jones is now in his best position on the ground. He's always going to have room to move down on the full forward line. The ball's going to be directed to Stewie Loewe. There's always going to be plenty of crumbs, and he's such a beautiful kick. When he just settles that extra second, he can do it either with left or right, and they go through pretty regularly.
So 4 goals to Jones, and the Saints have come steaming back at Richmond here. From the centre, Broderick had a good first half, but now they're under siege. Michael Gale had a shaky start to this match after coming off the interchange. That's a better movement to full forward. Holland front spot. First time it's been down here for a while. Young, a bit too clever, and Naish kicks the behind. When I say clever with Young, he was just had the ball in one hand. He really had to take charge of it. Naish misses with a point. He's kicked 2-1. Naish 10-4, 8-8.
Were you sort of thinking that the kick that came from the wing could have been a shorter pass?
No, I didn't
rather than a full forward?
Pick that one up, Robert.
Young to kick it in, so a new designated kicker for the Saints. And he's going to kick it out wide, and he finds his target in Harvey. So Harvey's starting to get a couple of touches at half-back. Kicks the ball to centre wing.
One-on-one, David Burke, well done. Gets his right fist to it, knocks it clear.
Just once again, the pace of Jaime Elliott, a little bit of a concern. His man has led him to the ball on a number of occasions in a one-off sprint.
Richmond by just 8 points now, so it should be fairly entertaining stuff now for the rest of the game. Joel Smith's kick has been well marked by Gaspar, and he runs away from Everitt from half back. Oh, tackle. That little touch in the tackle was important. Prescott, good kick, well done. They can set it up here. Broderick, doesn't he use the ball well? This is no exception. Naish may go in. He's kicked 2. Chris Naish, lap it up and get your third. He does. He's a good goal kicker, isn't he, Chris Naish? And out of 11 goals, he's kicked 3 for the Tigers, and we're not yet to half-time.
Now, he was very aware of the space behind him. He left Christian Bardsley in his tracks. Well done to Gaspar there for turning it over. But as soon as Broderick hit that ball, he took off. He left Christian Bardsley 30 metres behind, and he backed himself for goal, which is just a vital aspect of any forward's makeup.
11-4 to 8-8. Naish with 3. Back in the centre, 70-56. Vidovic, so Naish with 3 and Jones at the other end with 4 important small forwards. Daffy's another one in that category. Bardsley pushes the ball forward. Miranda onto it. Well done though by Neil to chop him off. Bond often looks for free kicks, maybe too often. Smith comes out, lopes away. Ordinary old kick. Jones clever off the ground. Now Tate works it well played Tate. Prescott's having a good match. Prescott away. Another great kick to Bond. Wonderful football by the Tiger defender. And then Bond kicks to centre wing. Finds Daffy. Who's running for him? Charles is short in the centre. Daffy with one bounce. Then delivers towards full forward. Holland in the front spot. Richardson at the back. The ball bouncing. Richardson going forward, being held onto. No free kick. And a handball away by Neil. And it's going to be a bounce about 30 metres from Richmond's goal. Hands on Richardson there. It might have been a little stiff.
A little bit unlucky not to pull the free kick there.
So 14 points the margin. Richmond deep in attack in a game that's seesawed as Richardson goes up, or Bardsley should have taken it. Gale has to concede a fair bit of ground. Miranda may use a man here. Goes to Charles. He's going a long way around. He should deliver. Takes a long time. Harvey couldn't cut it off. Tate, long ball to full forward. Richardson in the box. See? Behind. 11-5, 8-8.
Rod Keogh back on the ground for Jaime Elliott. Does appear to be a little bit of a problem with a left leg of Matthew Richardson. He's hobbled a few times. Maybe that was only a knock on the shin. In fact, it looks like his right leg. So he's had a problem with both legs this afternoon.
Fine athlete, Matthew Richardson. The kick in has been marked by Smith. Gets the hand pass away to one of the co-captains. Nathan Burke's kick should be marked by Tate. It was a poor kick. Gee, should have made the Tigers pay there. Prescott, that's better. That was accuracy. Daffy slams at goal. Right to the line. And punched over there by Shane Wakeland. Right forward pocket for the Tigers boundary throw in. 11-5 to 8-8. 3 minutes left in the second term. Richmond lead. Their advantage is 15 points. Broderick, now Campbell. Back to find a bit of area to kick the ball. Look maybe for the screw punt kick. It went to the front of the goals, which was okay for the Tigers, but away goes St Kilda. Harvey will go the length of the ground here. Loves to run with it. He's had 2 bounces. Hooks the little kick back to the middle of the ground. Good vision. Everitt is there for St Kilda. His kick is not bad either. It hits low on the chest. And a good transference of play there by St Kilda from full back to full forward. Loewe for his 3rd goal.
And isn't that kick back into the centre so vital if you can get away with it, if the man presents himself? Smart play by the E.J. Whitten medalist of 3 times in Rob Harvey. You saw Everitt there. He brought the ball back into the centre, and I think that's one of the reasons the West Coast has just kicked up in their goal kicking ability, because that's the option they're prepared to take.
Loewe from 40 metres kicks, and he's disappointed, I would suggest. It's just a behind. Richmond make a change, but Loewe, 2 goals, 3 to his name.
Yes, it's Matthew Richardson, in fact, coming off the ground, and Paul Buller's back on. So perhaps there is a bit of a problem with Matty Richardson.
11-5-8-9. He's Loewe 5 shots, Robbo, for goal, and Everitt 4. And they've got 3 goals from 9 shots. Mark at the back by Charles, over Keogh. Kicks the ball to centre wing. Front man was Harvey.
A good mark, wasn't it?
Harrison claiming it.
You couldn't believe that guy could get a better grip of the football. Harrison, I'm talking about.
Might have been touched in flight. In fact, the umpire was calling play on before the ball got there. Fair enough. Saw his arms in the air.
Now Burke getting it from Everitt. Burke's kick towards full forward. Gale pushes the ball forward. Lappin attacks it. Prescott, terrific hip and shoulder. Really fair bump. Burke gets it back. Goes to Keogh. He's a left footer. Gets back on the left. Centering kick. Miranda sits underneath it. Pickett comes in late. Plays it like a defender. Well done, Tigers. Prescott, as I say it again, having a good match. Kicks the ball high to centre half forward. Holland attacking it. Naish in the front spot. He's having a terrific game. Takes the mark at centre half forward. 6 kicks, couple of marks, but 3 goals is the key, isn't it? Value for money for Naish. And he normally does kick these. Ironic that he was the man that missed the goal at Geelong, because he's one of the best kicks at Richmond. 45 metres out. Close, little hook, missed it. So he hurt me. 3-2 to Naish, but I won't take it back. He's still a good kick for goal. 11-6 to 8-9.
And perhaps having his best half of footy for the season. Chris Naish, he's a tremendous player. But as far as goals are concerned, he just hasn't had the return of last year, although he did finish the season with a flurry last year.
Kick in has been marked by Bardsley. St Kilda fans had their hearts in their mouths, but at this stage everything's okay. Bardsley's short kick has been marked by Young, and again,
following the Saints.
Well, it's they're line ballers, aren't they? Bullis on the mark. Young goes wide. This is better. Harvey's got the ball close to the line. Right half back for St Kilda. His kick in towards the centre of the ground is marked by Keogh. Keogh picking up quite a number of possessions around the centre of the ground. About 12 so far in the game. His kick has been nearly marked by Charles, gathered by Pickett. Just pushed off the ball ever so slightly. The kick became ineffective. Brendan Gale, important possession here. Gasper, out wide, Tate. He's not a bad kick off his left foot. This goes down the line. Gathered by Joel Smith, cleverly to Keogh. Provides the shepherd for Harvey. Harvey goes very short, but it's effective. Lapham's got the football, and he couldn't possibly score. The siren has ended the second term. He doesn't even try. He gives the football up. So at half-time, Richmond lead 11-6-72. St Kilda 8-9-57, and that's a margin of 15 points in favour of the Tigers at the long break.
Quick comment, Jared, on how you're seeing the opening half?
Well, I think that St Kilda have done well to get back into this game, and it was through the agency of Aussie Jones there. Matthew Richardson hasn't had his best game, but he did look as if he took a blow to the right shin there. He hobbled off late in the second term, and obviously with him being subdued, St Kilda have got themselves back into this game. But really, I think there's been a lot of mistakes made by St Kilda defensively and also coming into attack. And I think they've also just been second to the ball on a number of occasions. I believe that Richmond have just gone that little bit harder across the board for the loose ball, and that's why they lead on the scoreboard. They're getting a pretty even spread of goal kickers, and right at this stage, I think they just take their lead into the half-time break knowing that they can win this game.
And that lead, Jared, is 15 points. It's 11-6 to 8-9 as they leave the ground. We leave you from the Melbourne Cricket Ground for the moment and go to Amanda de Pledge for the latest sports update.
Good afternoon, everyone. Amanda de Pledge with a Sports Australia update. A busy day in international sport, but first we check out the latest from Rugby League's Optus Cup. Nearing half-time at Kogarah Oval, St George up against competition leaders Sydney City. The Roosters trailing the Dragons at the moment by 6 points. And last night at ANZ Stadium, Manly thumped Brisbane by 14 points. The Sea Eagles notching up a classy 18-4 win.
The Broncos were struggling before the game even began. 7 of their stars sacrificed for State of Origin. But lanky winger Paul Hoth produced a surprise 3 minutes into the game. That was it for the Broncos, the Sea Eagles snatching control through the brilliance of discarded Queensland centre Danny Moore.
Lions has got support. Danny Moore.
Within 12 minutes, Moore was at it again.
He's on his way for the line.
Then Hopewati with the sealer 4 minutes before the break.
Minutes for Hopewati. It might have been a happy night, but it is now.
Manly ahead 18-4. The scoreline didn't change in the second half, but not for a lack of spectacular play. Matthew Ridge topping off a flawless effort with this miraculous save.
Smith looked to be over here, stretching out, and Ridge has kicked it out of his hands.
The Broncos won't forget this one, the boot of Ridge responsible for their lowest home score in club history.
3 more Optus Cup matches tonight. The Cronulla Sharks are going for their 7th win from their last 8 matches. Penrith visits the Gold Coast, and in Sports Australia's exclusive live match from 7:30, third place Newcastle is also travelling north up against the Cowboys. Australian golfer Greg Norman has recovered from his US Masters disappointment and is in contention for another majors title. He shot 4 under par 66 to be only a stroke behind leader Payne Stewart. At the halfway mark of the US Open in Detroit, best of the other 8 Australians are Wayne Riley, Craig Parry and Steve Elkington at 2 under.
Greg Norman lost his cool only once at the 9th when an inexperienced photographer distracted him. But Norman turned at 1 under. 4 holes later he gained another stroke after a superb tee shot.
Yeah, a good result.
He followed that with an even better effort at the 16th.
3rd birdie of the day for the Shark.
But the last 2 holes proved his most satisfying, saving par with pressure putts.
Any questions if Greg Norman was able to recover from the Masters collapse have been answered today in the first major championship since Augusta.
The last couple of holes, especially 17, that was a very important putt for me, and to make it the way I made it under the circumstances was important going into the weekend.
The pressure this time got to leader Payne Stewart. Playing after Norman, he had a 3-shot cushion to the Australian, but came back to the field at the finish, dropping 2 shots in the last 3 holes.
And you can catch the 3rd round of the US Open on ESPN. 6 hours of live action beginning at 2:30 tomorrow morning. To tennis now, and Australia's hopes of singles success at the Queen's Club Championship have ended with Pat Rafter and Mark Woodford losing their quarterfinals. Rafter beaten by Boris Becker in 2 sets, but the upset of the day goes to world number 2 Thomas Muster and his victory over Mark Woodford, not so much for winning, but for his controversial tactics. Australia's highest placed player claims the Austrian served up a barrage of abuse during the clash.
Wow.
After Woodford claimed the first set in just 20 minutes, Muster responded by yelling faggot, although the Austrian says the insults were directed in frustration at himself and not at Woodford. Also in England, the biggest shock of the European Soccer Championship so far, the Czech Republic has defeated a 10-man Italy 2-1. The earlier match saw Turkey's tournament finish. Now the highly fancied Italy will have to defeat favourite Germany to be sure of a place in the quarter-finals. The Czechs went into the lead after only 4 minutes. Italy replied through its latest boom striker Enrico Chiesa at the end of a classic counter-attacking move in the 19th minute. After defender Luigi Apolloni received his marching orders 10 minutes later, the Czech team pounced again. 2-1 at half-time. Italy dominated a free-flowing second half but couldn't manage an equaliser. And the big match tonight, England versus Scotland at Wembley, the world's oldest ongoing football challenge. See it live on ESPN from 11:55. The Chicago Bulls have sacrificed a 3-1 lead in the NBA Finals series, losing to the Supersonics in Seattle. Keeping the series alive, Seattle scored an 11-point win over Chicago, 89-78. A Bulls victory would have sealed the championship for the red-hot favourites, but there was a touch of magic missing as Seattle All-Stars Sean Kemp and Gary Payton turned on a one-point half-time lead into a comfortable 11-point victory. The Bulls now have the chance to wrap up the best-of-7 series in Chicago, and you can see all the action live on ESPN on Monday morning from 9:30. And that's all the latest from the world of sport. Returning shortly to the second half of our live match from the MCG, Richmond versus St Kilda.
Cats who play the Blues longer than me, all sure. I'd like to see that.
Clubs full of guys with great bodies? Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I hear you guys worship Aussie rules. Hey! What sort of religion is that?
A game that's lasted longer than me. I'd like to see that.
Unbelievable. It's been a high-scoring match to date. Richmond 11-6 to St Kilda 8-9, the major goal scorers. And for Richmond, Naish has got 3 and Jones has 4 for St Kilda. We run down the Naish 3 and Daffy 2. Singles to Prescott. Richardson off the ground at the moment. Dear Charles, Holland and Burke. 4 to Jones, 2 to Loewe, Elliott and Everitt, the other goal scorers for St Kilda. Now the other matches at the Optus Oval, North Melbourne and Sydney at half-time, with the news that Tony Lockett has just 1 goal so far for Sydney. And we'll have a look at the highlights and then have a look at the scores.
Towards the middle, intended for Stafford. Scott did pretty well, fairly, from 60 metres out. Back they come again. Schwass in best position, going back. Great courage shown by Danilchenko. Waiting for the first goal. We've got it now.
Gets it across to Creswell. Now on the rebound. The Swans with a chance. Roos, his 300th game, can run to 50. Gets it off to Arnott. Goes short to Grant, who can run on. No one on the mark. Turns it back. He's kicked it.
Flick hands. Free ball on the outer side. Kicks well inside the 50 from behind Danilchenko. Kicking at his second. Deadly accurate.
Rock paddles the ball along, gets it back, taken by Kelly. Ball goes to Chapman. That's a great kick to Roos, who can run in and kick a goal. Great start by the Swans.
Threads it through, intended for Arnott on the outer side. Still he goes, Arnott, deep in the pocket, back to kick it. Okay, what do you think? Goal.
Creswell kicks short and finds Chapman. He's got a loose player in Luff. Luff will shoot from right on 50. This is a great catch. Lockett does the shepherding. Another goal to the Swans.
Terrific first half by Sydney. Look at that second quarter, 6 goals to 1. They lead 8-4 to 5-6, repeating that Lockett has just the 1 goal. So that's a good sign for Sydney. And Danilchenko has 2 for North Melbourne. Now Geelong and Footscray down at Cardinia Park. Let's have a look at the first half highlights there.
And a very good afternoon, everyone, from Cardinia Park in Geelong, and a big moment for Steve Wallace, if he can ever break that banner. He needed all the muscle that he could come up with there. He's playing his 250th game today. A magnificent effort from the Bulldogs. Squares the ball. Not the greatest of kicks off the boot. We're going to see another foot race on centre wing. Now it's Romero receiving from Rowan Smith. He kicks towards half forward. Loose men everywhere. This is the youngster Pete was talking about in Cox. He goes at goal, and he's kicked Footscray second. King up high, hocking the recipient. Good hand pass. Burns, they love him here at Cardinia Park. Oh, that's a good kick. That's a great kick. Fantastic kick from Roddy Burns. Has he got electrifying speed? It's a goal. blocking. A little dummy, and then one of his longest kicks of the day, Everitt on his own. So Gary Everitt with 993. 994 if he's accurate from 40 metres, which he is. Scores a level at Kardinia Park. Kicks to the outer side, Hall. Footscray with the numbers, Wallace Watts. Now, chance for a goal. That is Rowan Smith.
So half-time there, Geelong 8 goals for the better of the second term. Footscray 6-8, Gary Everitt with 2 goals so far in the match. And the other game being played today is at Waverley Park between Hawthorn and Adelaide. Let's have a look at the first half there.
Taylor's hand pass astray. McLeod finds Jamison. Wobbly old kick by Jamison. Modra showing Langford a clean pair of heels. He's outside the 50. He's got Andrew Jarman in the goal square. One out with his opponent. Great kick by Modra. Was it touched? That is a great goal! Connell's recovered. He seemed to throw that one out. Taken by McCabe. Inside 50, the Hawks. Dunstall. Dishes off the hand pass. Kapler on his favoured left. 40 metres out. It's close. It's a goal.
Condon underneath the pack. Tim Hargraves from 50 will have a ping. Kick looks pretty good for Hawthorn. The Goats are through.
Down to Smart. Standing start to the 50. Robin, almost his 4th mark. Darren Jarman, dangerous from here. Very dangerous. Off to Robin, brilliant. And the kick by Robin is perfect. Robin comes in to apply the tackle, but the Crows have it. Smart to McCartney, to Caven, centre wing. Kick by Caven towards the 50 for Andrew Jarman. He slips Harford. A centering kick, looking for Modra, who's shepherded it through. It's a goal!
Now Liptak out of the centre to a shooto. The Crows are looking sensational today. Kicking long. Straight through the middle for the Crows for another one.
So the Crows with a handy lead at half-time, not all over yet, 7-6 to 10-8, Hawthorn trail. So we've got 4 matches being played and still some footy to be won because all are up for grabs. A break, back with the second half from the Melbourne Cricket Ground after this. Reminder on Sports AFL, live tomorrow from the Whitten Oval, Fitzroy and Melbourne from 2 o'clock Eastern Time. The team's back on the arena for the second half, the sun breaking through. Saints trailing by 15 points, they trail by 9 points at quarter time, and the Tigers are also out there. Richmond, as we have a look at some team stats, and we start with Richmond, Jared, and these are weighted so that goals are worth extra points, therefore Daffy and Naish are figuring prominently.
Yes, and good to see those 2 players at the top of the list. Both Daffy and Naish we pinpointed at the start of the match as 2 players that needed to improve their output if the Tigers were to go on and win this game, and they certainly have done that. Daffy just appears still to be kicking the ball pretty hurriedly, which may mean that he's just not right up to his normal levels of confidence, but that will certainly improve. Prescott's done a pretty good job. Paul Broderick, he's an unobtrusive performer, basically because a lot of his possessions are in handballs, but he once again has done pretty well despite the attentions of Robbie Neal. Greg Deere, another important player. Miranda's getting some touches. I think Damien Ryan appears to be a player of the future. He looks a very likely type, a good build for a player. I think one of their better players today is Rogers, who's done a pretty good job on Rob Harvey, although I thought Harvey finished the second quarter slightly on top.
Team stats now for St Kilda with the 1 page. No surprise with his 4 goals that Aussie Jones is at the top.
No, he's done a very good job in that forward roving position. Deep in the forward line is his best spot. Keogh is a great possession accumulator in the middle of the ground, although he did spend a little bit of time on the bench. Stewie Loewe, well, I think the difference, if you wanted to pinpoint one thing between the 2 sides right as we speak, is accuracy in front of the goal. They've both got 17 scoring shots, but St Kilda have just not kicked enough goals that should have been kicked, and therefore they do trail. Vidovic, I thought, had a pretty good second quarter. Nathan Burke has been a good player at the bottom of the packs with 12 possessions, a good performance. And as we said, Harvey with 8 possessions, he did get 5 of those 8 in the second quarter.
Second half about to start at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. 11-6 to 8-9. Richardson back on the ground for Richmond at full forward. Everitt. Burke's quick kick out of the centre. Two centre half forward. Peckett. Ball not bouncing for him today. Michael Gale away to Daffy. Daffy's got Miranda out wide if he wants to go to him. He goes in the direction of Richardson. It was worked under the ball with the Shanahan. Wakeland, great tackle by Holland. He's gone. Holding the ball. And the kick on was in fact the point. Won't count. It's coming back.
Hurt himself too, that young fella.
Richardson, the tackle. Said Holland, fantastic tackle. Wakeland a bit slow. Is that his crook leg, his left leg, Jared? Do you remember? It's bandaged up there.
He's got the patellar tendonitis band there, which is a problem that you get following knee reconstructions.
He's been in the wars, hasn't he, today?
I'll tell you what, he's taken it back because the bandage is above his patellar tendon, so it's there for some reason.
He threw himself around in the state game here a couple of weeks ago. 2 or 3 tremendous leaps.
Had a huge match here too last week, Robbo, didn't he, against Carlton?
Yep.
He's just the sort of player that will go back and ram this one straight through.
It's a tight angle. And he did kick it well, but just to the near side. Important situation with him, Richardson. If he's fit, you'd think that he'll still be a key player in the second half, but if he's unable to see the match out, it's one worry the Saints won't have. And they've got enough. Here's Young, takes a chance, comes away, kicks the ball to centre wing.
Well, he kicks it really to a one-on-one, which probably wasn't to the advantage of St Kilda. Good punch away by Campbell. Broderick to set it up. Tate, good attack on the football. Daniels was there to try and make it difficult for him. Joel Smith, the little hand pass over the top. Harvey close to the line, he's caught. Tackle was okay. In goes Campbell. Harvey still there to try and give St Kilda the advantage. Keogh to Joel Smith. Must do a little bit more. Very talented player, Joel Smith.
Free kick to Keogh.
And a free kick has been picked out by umpire Hayden Kennedy, and it will go to Rod Keogh. Keogh with his 13th kick. Lands near half forward. Good mark taken by Neil. Been a reasonable pick-up for St Kilda, having crossed from the Sydney Swans. Robert Neal, his kick is a good one, to the front of the goals. It's punched high, low, gathers, gets the hand pass away, not quite far enough. In goes Bond, gatherers by Broderick, as usual, finds a man. Naish shrugs the tackle, gets around onto his right foot, kicks in towards half forward, the mark is taken. Is it been paid? No, Daffy. Dragged to the ground by Young, play goes on. Well, some questionable decisions. I thought first it may have been a mark, then it could have been holding the man, and maybe even a free kick for St Kilda. But umpire Hayden Kennedy has decided on a bounce. Daffy grabbed by the jumper there.
Could have been dropping the ball, Robert.
That's exactly right. So 2 or 3 decisions there could have gone either way. St Kilda forced the ball out towards the wing. Gather, well done by Ryan, but mark taken by Keogh.
Lazy kick by Keogh. Everitt and Gasper. Now Bond, went to Everitt, should just chip away. Had to kick it to Joel Smith, but he's kicked to Loewe, who's taken the mark. Well, it's turned out okay. Either the reflex handball or the kick to Joel Smith looked on, but the result's the same, and Lowe's probably a few metres closer to goal.
Well, maybe Everett's vision is up at about 6'5", and he didn't see the shorter bloke, but he saw the tall bloke further down the ground.
He's a big fella, no question about that. Now Loewe, 2 goals, 3. He's worked his way into the game. He still hasn't got a big score on the board. He's missed again. 2-4 to Loewe. 1-3 to Everitt.
Has he got a problem remembering just where the man on the mark is? Do you think he seemed to get a little bit too close?
He was a bit close that time.
Campbell to kick in. This is effective, and the mark is taken by Burke. Very close to the boundary line, 40 metres from the St Kilda goal. 11-7 to 8-10, Richmond lead. Burke close to the man on the mark. The kick smothered. Campbell there. Oh, very well done. Very smart football by Campbell. looked a couple of times as if he was going to give it up, then eventually got it to Prescott. Prescott's kick, smothered off the boot, Bond, kicked away by Burke, but not far enough. Richmond's still in the van here, hand pass, chopped off by Young. He kicks the ball well and finds his target, and that target is Robert Harvey in the centre of the ground. He's able to move it on. And it's okay. Joel Smith is on the end of it. The hand pass over the top. This is productive football by St Kilda. And a goal will result. If it's not kicked by Young, it's certainly a mark to Everitt. I think it's a goal, isn't it? No, the umpire officiating down there is indicating that Everitt will have to go back and shoot from an angle that is not just going to be a walk-up start. Everitt is close to the line. He kicks. And you'd say it's a goal. It is kicked by Peter Everitt. 2 goals to Everitt. And St Kilda, well, they just hang on, don't they? 9 points is the advantage for Richmond with 15 minutes left in the third term.
And it was bad luck for Matthew Young because it deserved a goal. He took the ball on the half-forward line. He intercepted a Richmond forward thrust, kicked the ball nicely, ran on, got it again, and then lined it up. And Peter Everitt just stopped one of his few goals in his career, but I'm sure he's not too concerned about the result.
11, 7, 9, 10. Vidovic doing well in the centre. Campbell, so quick across the ground. Well-weighted handball to Broderick, to Rogers. 3 of the very important players. Oh, he's gone. Hold the ball. Is that a good match? Rogers? That could be 50. No. Brown's got it. He comes away with a bounce and then kicks the ball to Loewe at centre half forward, pushed down, free kick. Saints back in this match. Look at Neil all on his own at centre half forward. Takes a long time. He's going to kick to Everitt. Had a big go. Neil off the ground. No, well played across the front of him by the defender in Burke. And now bounce. Saints right back in this. 11, 7, 9, 10. They've clawed their way back. Richmond led by about 5 goals at one stage. Close to it. Chris Mitchell, Rowan Saws, Hayden Kennedy officiating. Richmond may try and force this through. Ryan's kick, not bad actually, got it right out of 50. Good result. Boundary throw in.
Stewart Loewe, his attempt there as Richmond make a change. Deere is off the ground and Harrison is on. But Lowe's attempt to keep the ball in was complimentary. 14 and a half minutes left in the third term. Richmond lead by 9 points. 19 scoring shots for St Kilda, 18 for the Tigers. Gee, a good smother off the hands there by Keogh. Burke's kick to the front of the goals. No mark. Tate left it behind. Ryan and Brown, 2 of the youngsters in this game. And it's a ball-up decision right in front of St Kilda's goal, only 25 metres away from another score for St Kilda. Everitt, Gasper, ball comes to Harvey. Tried to slip the hand pass, not successful. Tape's kick. May bounce fortuitously for Broderick. He's taken to the ground there by Keogh. And the umpire sees that as holding the man. It's questionable, but Broderick has the football at left half back for the Tigers.
Floating kick, centre wing, bounce. Now Darcy pushes forward. Boundary throw in right in front of our broadcast box here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Good crowd in attendance, watching a very entertaining and highly important match. 11-7 to 9-10. Vidovic at the back, Charles. Daniels actually taken from him by Keogh. Back to through it, Vidovic. That's very plain to see at centre wing. So they made a meal of that. St Kilda, no one on the mark. Charles away. So some lack of concentration. Charles has kicked Shanahan front spot. He's lifted a bit, Jaime, after a terrible start to this match. Comes away, kicks the ball back in the Nathan Burke direction. Terrific mark by Gasper from the side.
Having a very good game, Darren Gasper.
Been interesting duels, haven't they, Jared? The Loewe, Everitt and their opposing defenders.
Yes, the only thing that stopped the 2 Tools from dominating is that they haven't kicked the goals given their opportunities.
Charles wide, good take by Burke. 70 metres from goal. Richardson leads, Burke goes towards him, Shanahan might have been over the shoulder, play on, Daffy, the sharpshooter in the pocket, bringing back, what a kick! Fantastic of his goal! He has! That's a miracle goal! Daffy's kicked a goal in each of the three quarters to date. And that's the difference, Stewart, that they're kicking them like that, and at the other end, the Saints have missed a few straight in front.
Yes, and the Saints have had most of the play in the opening part of this term. And yet Richmond go forward once and they kick a miraculous goal. And as you say, Bruce, therein lies the difference between the two sides. 3 goals to Daffy, 3 now to Naish, adds up to a winning combination.
So the bounce favours Everitt. He's not able to gather the ball. Little kick out of there by Justin Charles. It just bounces awkwardly. Young gets it back to Darcy. Darcy just gets his kick away. Not bad, but it's going to break down. Oh, that's too high on tape by Pickett.
Pickett left the ground there, which is just a technique error.
Tape short kick is all right. Daffy's on the end of this. Now he shows his skills, kicking with the left foot in the Richardson direction. Taken away by Shanahan, an awkward kick into the middle of the ground. Up high, too tall. Charles over Brown. Tate, can he control the football? He does in the finish in a little bit of time, and then he kicks to half forward. Naish, oh, top end to Chris Naish. Jumping, leaping and marking. 55 to 60 metres from goal, and then puts it on the chest of the big full forward Richardson. Well, that's probably one of the most scintillating passages of play so far in the game. Naish getting the acclamation from his teammates, but the goal may be kicked by Matthew Richardson. This was a good pass. Maybe Everitt a chance there to chop it off. He was the man between the kicker and the receiver, but Richardson has the football for Richmond, and Richardson makes St Kilda pay. He's capitalised with a goal. 2 goals to Matthew Richardson out of 13. Richmond 13-7, St Kilda 9-10. The margin back to 21 points.
Well, it was a great individual effort there by Chris Naish, who I thought took a bit of a punt kicking this one to Richardson. With Everitt there, he just didn't quite do enough. Another yard or two would have trapped that ball. And the Tigers go away to another convincing lead at the moment.
It's been the pattern of the match to date, 13-7 to 9-10. St Kilda getting within a goal and a half, and then Richmond getting away to about this margin. Keogh out of the centre, a lot of kicks today. 15th coming up. Normally kicks the ball long distances. That's a bit of a floater. Wanting Neil in the end. Broderick tried to trap it. Went through Tate's legs. Saints have got numbers, but Richmond hold it up. Bounce about 45 metres from goal. 85 to 64. Jaime Tate. Stanhouse. It's had a roller coaster week. Everitt and also Charles. Back to Keogh. Clever handball to Brown. Left foot straightening up. Will be right to the goal square. Terrific mark by Gale. That's a wonderful bit of football in the front spot. Loewe hanging off him. And Gale able to take the mark courageously. Kicks cleverly to Broderick at half-back. What a fine player he is, Broderick. Inboard to Tate. Nice build-up by Richmond. The kick into the centre. Looks well spaced. Naish had to sit and wait. He may have been put off by the player in front of him. Bardsley's handball.
That's the tackling.
Yeah, terrific by Richmond. Burke forces forward.
Oh, that's great.
Campbell to Gale. Great build-up. Richardson in the goal square. Wants it long. He's going to kick it in his direction. Well done, Shanahan. Behind. 13-8 to 9-10.
He does do that well, Jamie Shanahan. Just backs in and bodies the player where the ball is being directed to. And usually he at least neutralises the football.
Short kick in has been marked by Bardsley. He is nearly out to centre half back. Hand pass back to Young. Young, oh, just a little bit too far there for Shane Wakeland. And it goes out for a throw-in, left half forward for Richmond. So St Kilda, a chance to clear the danger area, but unsuccessful. So Richmond now, can they force it back towards the goal square? Big leap by Campbell, terrific leap. Wakeland Tackled there by Holland. He's done a couple of little things, Ben Holland, that probably won't go down on the stats alongside his name. Bond, a disciplined kick to the front of the square. It's helped over for a boundary throw-in. Well, the goal umpire very much on the spot there. He must have just noticed the football grazing the behind post. It is a boundary throw-in, left forward pocket for the Tigers. 9 minutes left in the quarter. Richmond started this quarter 15 points in front. They've just stretched that lead to 22. Chris Bond forcing it over for another boundary throw-in in that left forward pocket.
A couple of injuries in this quarter to St Kilda hasn't helped their flexibility. Jason Daniels and Rod Keogh have come off in the last couple of minutes, both injured.
Everitt, Wakeland. Jones has been forced up onto the ball then, Jared, because of that. Harvey, handball, important bounce here. Everitt, high ball, not going far. Darryl Wakeland, terrific mark. Justin Charles had a good year, and that was a wonderful bit of football by him. Then he delivers to centre half forward. Off hands Naish, trying to get it out towards Daffy. Bardsley onto him, bounce 50 metres from goal. Richmond on top, Charles going all right. They lead 13-8 to 9-10.
6 marks to Justin Charles.
Vidovic and Ben Holland. Another go. Prescott onto it. Holland, tackled by Darcy. It's going to be a bounce. At centre half forward, Tigers in attack.
Well, Richmond led by 9 points at quarter time, 15 points at half time. Robert Walls, a little bit of anxiety on his face. Kevin Morris alongside. But his Chargers have stretched their lead to 22 points at this stage of the game. Broderick, challenged by Joel Smith. Prescott into the action. Michael Gale just shrugs the tackle rather arrogantly in the finish. Harrison's left foot kick is good and he finds a fellow left footer in Broderick. Quality possessions by Paul Broderick. This is no exception. In goes Harrison. He was the kicker in the first place. His kick on this occasion is hooked quite badly in the finish. Just scrapes in for a behind. Former Carlton player Ben Harrison.
They're certainly well stocked with tall players, Richmond. They have got an advantage in that area with Burke, Charles, Deere, Richardson, Gasper, Holland, Brendan Gale and Harrison. They've got a pretty good fleet of tall men.
Gee, a poor kick in again. Elliott over the top. Oh, taken by Campbell. Watch this. Oh, not quite as far as he would have liked. He spotted Miranda, but chipping in is Aussie Jones. 4 goals alongside this player's name for St Kilda, and he has the football across the half-back line.
Kicks to centre wing. Sirikowski back on the ground. He went off injured with what looked to be a knee problem in the first half. Handball by Holland looking for Campbell. Push forward by Harvey. Charles onto it. Centering kick. Shanahan waits for it. Has a second go. Now breaks through with strength. Can deliver. Kicks the ball to Neil at centre half forward. Good fly by Neil at the back. Lowe's hands okay. Smith back to Neil. Must kick a goal. 30 metres out. Misses. They've been wasteful, St Kilda. 9-11 to 13-9. I guess it's a difference between highly skilled and just average skill when you can perform under pressure. And Neil would have felt some players around him, but really should have made his mark there. The kick by Gale out to his brother, Michael. They look on top at the moment, Richmond. Change coming up. Sirikowski obviously not right. And Keogh back. Ryan gets the footy and goes to half forward. Miranda and Peckett. Richardson onto it. Will take Shanahan on, still takes him on, and then tries to take Peckett on. Bumped off it. Shanahan gets hold of the footy, having a reasonable quarter. Kicks the ball to half-back. Darcy outnumbered, has to hold his ground. Prescott having a good match. Kicks the ball right back to the goal square. Richardson! Big fly, didn't quite. At the front, Wakeland, under pressure. Handball's out. Bardsley sits and waits. Gets the ball away with a chip. The chip's to Brown. Brown's got Keogh on or Burke. He's going to go in Burke's direction. It gets to him. Important here. Burke away. Bond of beauty. Gets him. Well played. And then throws the ball between his legs. Brown's handball good. Vidovic to Burke. Burke can go over the top to Keogh. The handball not good. Keogh should goal though. Hits the post.
Well, Burke's handball wasn't good enough, really.
Gee, that had some chances for begging. I mean, Robert Neal, you called before, really should have kicked the goal, and that should have been kicked by Keogh. So 2 chances for St Kilda, both missing. Gasper's kick out wide to the wing, good mark. He's got good hands, hasn't he? Good judgment, David Burke, an improving player. Disciplined earlier in the season. The kick to full forward, Richardson. Young has a chance. He's grabbed by the Dax by Daffy, and the ball just trundles over for a boundary throw in. Richardson suffering the effects of another high fly and not able to take the mark, and certainly trying out the elasticity of Matthew Young's shorts there was Nick Daffy. Boundary throw in. Harrison takes it out of the air, gives away a little ground. Miranda tries to get it back to Harrison, rebounds to Harvey. Harvey through the congested player pack there. Brown, he's approaching centre wing, has a look downfield and then kicks it high in the Gale direction. Punch from behind by Tate was disciplined football. Goes back to Joel Smith. The hand pass. St Kilda go forward up to the goal front. Everitt made a good contest of it. Tape's under pressure from that player, Peter Everitt, and it's pushed over for a boundary throw in. Big Peter Everitt gathers his composure and will contest this boundary throw in. Everett missing early, touched off his boot for a behind, but he's kicked 2 goals. 13-9 Richmond, 9-12 St Kilda. Chance for Keogh, tackled by Charles. Ball spills now for Tate. Just a nice little one through to Prescott. Prescott kicks it high, back towards the centre of the ground. No mark. And away goes Bardsley again. He's doing a good job. He's all spirit and all heart, Christian Bardsley. He's kicked to the goal face. Everett up high, couldn't take the mark. Still Richmond rebound when the ball hits the ground.
Gasper's kick good to Rogers. Rogers quickly on to Naish. That's disciplined by Rogers. He saw the man and went through. Naish a long way from home. Thought he might have tried to take Wakeland on. Kicks to Richardson. Good football by the Tigers. He can thump the ball, Richardson. He's a long, long, long way from home. Vacant goal square. Does kick the ball prodigious distances. That floating right there. Holland at the back. Ball still in play. Daffy, fantastic kick, Daffy. What a brilliant sharpshooter hitting the post. Cheers, a good effort. 3-1 to Daffy. 13-10 to 9-12. If they get the next one, it's really going to break the back, isn't it? Young short, danger. Brown's got to recover, pushes forward, not far enough. Back to Daffy, under pressure. Richardson, wonderful mark. Fantastic grab. Plays on quickly to the front of the goal square. A mistake though. Left foot though by Harrison. And he's missed. So now Richmond's turn to be wasteful.
Daffy looks to be in a bit of trouble with the physiotherapist. Let's have a look at Matthew Richardson's mark. Brought it down in the right hand. A great decision and a great mark.
Terrific athlete, Matthew Richardson. 23 points is the advantage for Richmond. Young for St Kilda. Kicking in the direction of Daniels, and it gets the target. Handball away. Wakeland. That's Shane Wakeland's kick towards centre wing. Chance for Joel Smith. He's got plenty of skill. Gee, I'd love to see him just do a little bit more. That was a very sloppy effort in the finish. Lappin, now Loewe kicks in towards the goal square. Everitt hooked it in with the right hand. Terrific ball control by the big fellow up there at full forward. And surely he would convert this kick to a goal and put 3 alongside his name. But more importantly for St Kilda, bring the match back to a 17-point game. Everitt from, it's a terrible kick. It hasn't gone anywhere near it. Well, Stan Alves must be tearing his hair out because the opportunities that have gone begging for St Kilda, well, he's still got his hair there, but he does look a disconsolate figure, doesn't he? Poor old Stanley.
4-8 between them, Robbo, Everitt and Loewe. And they haven't been hard ones. Good kick to Broderick. 13-11 to 9-13. Broderick on.
to Rogers, to Tate, under some pressure, gave it up to Lappin, to Smith. They might pay here. Smith runs the full way, maybe too far in the end. Going to get a free kick for a high tackle. Boy, lucky. He ran a long way, Smith. He ran out of ideas in the end. Now he can kick a long goal. This would take a very good kick.
He'd have to nearly go for the torpedo, wouldn't he, Jared, from there?
Well, here's a long kick, as Bruce said. Be a 50-50 result.
Drop punt. It's close. It might be a goal, I think. It looked over from here. It is. Good kick. They're teasing us, Jared, St Kilda. They're teasing all of us.
It's just about tease themselves out of 4 points the way they're travelling. It really has been incredible, some of the stuff they've missed. Richmond have been a very good side, but they certainly have looked better because of the mistakes of St Kilda. There's no doubt that a coach can do all he likes during the week, but out on the Saturday, be it night or day, it's up to the players to perform.
Gee, again, another very technical free kick there for Joel Smith. Able to convert. Now the ball, that was like a rugby scrum, wasn't it? Just rebounding off shins. Finished with Broderick. Broderick's kick nearly taken by Richardson. Holland and Wakeland. Good contest by those two players, and the ball spills over for a throw-in. Wakeland appealing for the free kick, indicating that he may have been held by the jumper. But the umpire giving the all clear for a boundary throw-in. Right forward pocket for the Tigers. They lead 13-11 to 10-13. So still the scoring shots are very, very even. 24-23. Richmond have the advantage. Bond, hand pass into the path. Daffy! He doesn't miss those, Nick Daffy. It's a goal for the Tigers. It's going to be a free kick. No, it's a goal. All clear by the central umpire.
Oh, not another free kick. Come on, Ray Soils. That's ridiculous.
Nick Daffy with a wry smile.
Oh, this is just incredible. This is twice in 2 weeks we've seen that.
Well, you don't think that they're there? Well, I mean, it's supposed to be over the goal line.
It was a split-second decision.
If the ball's over the goal line and the guy gets flattened, it is another kick. And Daffy gets 2 goals within 6 seconds. So he's now all of a sudden kicked 5 goals, Nick Daffy, for Richmond. And doesn't that hurt? 15-11 to 10-13.
Well, let's have another look.
It's got to be as he kicks it, surely.
Well, we can't pick up much from the replay, but from my memory it was just Matthew Young doing what 99.9% of footballers would do given the same scenario.
Gee, Robbo, doesn't that sting? I mean, you've gone from a 3-goal game to a 5-goal game.
Exactly, yep. It was a good goal in the first place, though.
Oh, sure, he's played a great match. 15-11 to 10-13. Vidovic. Daniels to Burke. Quiet since quarter time. They need a mark. Everitt. Now Neil. Left foot snap. And bouncing out of play. Not much time remaining for the Saints. Well, they have to get a goal back here to have a realistic chance, you would think, after what's happened very late in this quarter. Everitt and Loewe both had a lot of chances today. They missed chances too in the match against Essendon on both Saturday night and Tuesday. Tape straight to the boundary line, didn't disguise it too well, out of play. Boundary throw in. So Richmond again edging away late in the quarter. It's a big margin now, 28 points. They're led by 9 at quarter time, by 15 at half time. And now they've set up what looks to be close to a match-winning lead at 3/4 time. Everitt tries to push it at the back, taken by Smith, handball out to Daniels, besieged, the ball taken off. Richmond at the footy a bit harder at the moment. Quick kick by Charles, back into the centre. Vidovic couldn't quite get down, couldn't get a handle on it. Prescott, well played, over the top to Naish. Siren sounds. And Richmond with a big late play. Daffy's 2 goals in 1. Will be a talking point over the next few days. And the Tigers lead now by 28 points. 15-11 to 10-13.
And What would you Stanells give right now for somebody to take a mark, go back and kick a regulation goal? It's something that they have lacked St Kilda all afternoon. They haven't been able to get the ones that they should have, and it really has cost them on the scoreboard. And to add salt to the injury, Nick Daffy goes back and gets a 2-for-1 deal. It's like a Safeway Red Hot special. This one, it's 3 goals going everywhere. Robert Walls, he knew the importance of this game, and at this stage he's going into three-quarter time huddle with a match-winning lead. And I think it's fair to say that across the board his players have played a better brand of football. They also have made a few mistakes. They aren't playing at their very best, but certainly playing better than the Saints.
And at three-quarter time they lead 15-11 to 10-13.
Sunday on Sports AFL. 11:45, North Melbourne's clash with the unstoppable Sydney Swans. Then live Australia-wide from 2 o'clock, it's a battle in the basement when the competition strugglers Fitzroy and Melbourne clash. At 5, Inform Hawthorn take on powerhouse Adelaide with a glamour encounter between the West Coast and Collingwood at 7:15. Then from 9:30, Essendon take on Fremantle. Your football on Sports AFL.
Daffy's 2-1, big lift for Richmond late. They lead 15-11 to 10-13. He's got 5 goals, Daffy, and Naish has 3. They're the main goal scorers for Richmond. Richardson a couple, then Prescott, Deere, Charles, Holland and Burke. Jones 4, Loewe and Everitt a couple each, but they've been waits for Elliott and Smith, the other goal scorers. Let's have another look at the Daffy incident. Within the last minute of this term, gets a free kick after kicking the goal. Looks like Smith or Young and maybe Daniels running across, but still looks pretty confusing, Jared, and pretty soft.
Well, there's no question that Daffy didn't expect another kick, Bruce, and 2 goals for 1 penalty, I would think, is just over the top, in a position where the umpires have got to realise that players are so desperate to stop goals because they're obviously the vital ingredient in our game, that if they're not desperate, they'll get dragged off.
Have a look at this. 10 goals, 12 Sydney kicked, 22 scoring shots they had in the third quarter. Lockett's got 6 goals, he kicked 5 in that term, and North 8-10, and North kicked the last 2 goals of the quarter because it was 18-6 at one stage. Remarkable at Optus Oval. Gee up, the Swans in town. Well, the Crows, if they lose this one, what can you say? They have led all day, and it's 13-9 to 13-8 at three-quarter time, and Dunstall's got 7 goals for Hawthorn, and Modra's got 4 for Adelaide. And Geelong having a bit of a battle over Footscray. They seem to have them. They're 13-8 to 10-11, and they lead by 2.5 goals. Adelaide had 2 goals to half-time. That's the latest I can give you on that one. So the Sports AFL Club Night, this time from Collingwood on Thursday night. So I hope you can make it along there or watch on the Sports AFL. Thursday night, 8 o'clock, Club Night, Collingwood Football Club. As the interchange, young Ben Moore on the left, hasn't had a run yet. Greg Deere next to him, he's played a lot of footy.
Based on that North Melbourne Swan score, whoever wins out of Carlton and Brisbane tonight go to the top of the ladder.
Start of the final term at the MCG, 15-11 to 10-13. Can the Saints come back? Burke out of the centre. They'll need a big quarter from Burke, Harvey and Loewe and Everitt. Jones worried out of it. Ryan, well done. Prescott will get a free. High tackle. Advantage given. Broderick's been good. Goes away. Floats the ball to centre half forward. Oh, good catch, Bardsley. Terrific mark. Got a red-hot Richmond supporter sitting alongside him. It's not one of the commentators, and he actually clapped. It must have been a beauty.
Christian Bardsley, you've got to admire him for his spirit, his courage, his determination. He was decked quite severely a few weeks ago, and well, it was got a lot of publicity. He's back there having a go for St Kilda. Shane Wakeland's kick on. Rogers overruns of Harvey, who's been very quiet. Hand pass over the top. Jones runs in and should kick his 5th goal. Aussie Jones, well done. 5 goals to that player. So they're not down and out yet, St Kilda fans. Richmond 15-11, St Kilda 11-13, remembering that Richmond got a bonus goal at the end of the third quarter when Nick Daffy kicked 2. We'll have another look at how far Aussie ran. Questionable, Jared?
I think he stretched the 15 metres out just to show that of no concern to Aussie James. With 5 goals, that would be his biggest haul in AFL football, I think.
Well, you get the impression that maybe the umpires are allowing players to run a little bit further these days.
Harvey's kick, Ryan, good take.
That's good.
Good to play on to Gale, to Campbell, from half-back. Kicks the ball, centres it well to take. That was a terrific kick. Tape almost up the centre wing. Called to play on. He kicks the ball a long way. At the front, Wakeland, nice mark. Darryl Wakeland's kick to Young. It's been all right, Young. Kicks the ball to centre half forward. Daniels, Burke. Ball just eludes him. Lappin's got some toe. Good handball inside. Daniels went to ground. Handball to Brown. Brown to Lappin. Lappin, handball bad. Jones couldn't quite. Tries to rob it off Gasper. Everitt's left foot smothered. Campbell, well played. Richmond in the end. St Kilda had their chances. Gasper away. Goes long. Terrific kick to Broderick. He's got Miranda. Can put it down his throat. Decides to come inside with a bounce. Running onto it at centre half forward. Delivers well. Lovely football. Ben Holland on the end of it. Daniels and Bond having it to do off the ball. Richardson leads. The kid's going to have a shot from about 54 metres. Kicked it a long way, getting back Vidovic. Takes the mark, gives it off to Harvey. He's got Lappin short.
Harvey short kick. Lappin's got some space. Looked to play on, then gave the handball back to the more seasoned campaigner in Harvey. Neil drops what he should have taken, but Harvey's still running. Little left foot kick is a beauty. It was awkward, but it was accurate to Daniels. Then Young. Young kicks it well, puts it down the throat of big Peter Everitt, and he's 50 metres from goal. Move it quickly, are the suggestions coming from up here, but Peter Everitt feels as though he may kick the distance. He gets good distance. It is a goal. Magnificent kick by Everitt. His third goal with a 50-metre plus kick. And all of a sudden it's back to 16 points.
Well, you wouldn't have backed him with bad money from there, Peter Everitt. He's missed them from 5 metres out, but strangely enough, away he went and kicked one from outside 50. In fact, he wasn't even calling for that football in the finish, but it was kicked at him, and they finally worked their way through to a goal. The Saints, and if they can just keep playing direct football rather than over spending the ball forward to the centre, there's still a chance in this game.
12, 13, 15, 11. They close it a bit. Harrison's handball. Charles. Daffy, beautifully done. Worked his man around. Brings the ball forward. There's Bardsley. The little give okay. Neil out of defence. Well way to kick. All Young took a while to get a hold of it. Still hasn't. Prescott with him. Young well done. Daniels should have got a free kick. He will. Campbell all over him. Daniels injured. He's been very courageous, Daniels.
I think the umpires should be able to pay free kicks against physios and trainers that stand in the way of opposition players like we saw them.
Harvey within Broderick. Broderick well done. He's had a fantastic game. Held up. Wakeland trying to push forward. Burke gets on the end of it. No, doesn't. Brown forces forward. Smith and Brown. Brown high tackle. Play on call. Well played Burke to Broderick. Terrific footy. Broderick with a bounce. Trying to draw a man. Harrison now got a favourable bounce. Comes away. Kicks long in the direction of Holland. Oh, good sticky finger mark. Running back. He can grab a footy. I've only seen him once before, and he's got a great pair of hands.
You only have to see him in camera right now to know that he can play football, Ben Holland. He's done a couple of smart things today, Bruce, and this one is a very important goal.
Just turned 19.
He's a big boy, isn't he, for a 19-year-old? He's wobbled it through. 2 goals to Holland. They steady again. It has been the story of the day.
Well, I guess the seesawing aspect of the game, Jared, has kept the people interested.
Yeah, well, there's been plenty of mistakes to lessen that interest, I guess, Robbo, but when the scoreboard's close, everybody's happy, and this is a tremendous kick from Ben Harrison. Long and direct to the advantage of Harrison.
to the advantage of Holland, I should say, who not only has got a better reach, but also has got more height than his direct opponent, Neil.
Yeah, it's amazing what that long penetrating kick can do. Puts the defence under enormous pressure. Tate gives it up to Nathan Burke. Nathan Burke's kick to full forward. No mark to Ryan. Aussie Jones in the middle of the action. Dives on it. Brendan Gale appealing for the free kick. And the umpire not interested. Gale a bit disappointed. Chris Mitchell, the officiating umpire in that area of the ground, will bounce 30 metres from St Kilda's goal. Everitt tries to get it down with deftness, but there's a free kick. It may go to Richmond, maybe to David Burke for being held onto. There wasn't a lot in it, but the umpire spotted the Guernsey being tugged, and it's David Burke with the free kick. He's probably at centre half back as far as Richmond are concerned. Kicks it out wide. Looks for Broderick. Gatherers by Harrison. Ineffective hand pass. Well, it was effective, I guess, from Richmond's point of view, because it is in a 50-50 situation when maybe it could have been given up to a St Kilda opponent. Boundary throw in just forward of the wing in St Kilda's attacking half. 14 and a half minutes left. Richmond by 22 points.
Charles just worked Keogh away. Richmond forced through it forward. Burke attacks with a long ball to centre half forward. Oh, Holland big fly. Shane Wakelin on the back. Free kick coming, and it's going to Everitt at centre half back. Gives it off to Wakelin under a bit of pressure, but kick okay to Young. Just would think that St Kilda can't afford Richmond to score another goal. For the Saints to win, they've got to get them all from here on in. Vidovic into the centre, tries to push forward. Harvey, very well done, straightens up and then kicks in the Everitt direction at the back. Took one down with it. Loewe balances up, goes for Stewart and kicks it. Everitt and Loewe getting the hard ones. They've missed the easy ones. 13-13 to 16-11. Loewe with 3, Everitt 3, and Jones has got 5. So really 3 players have provided their goals.
Once again, a more direct assault on the goal by the Saints, and I think that's the key to their game plan from this point on. They can't afford to muck around with the football, because when they've overused it, it's generally been pinched away by Tiger defenders. They get the ball quickly down to their 2 balls.
Richmond are in fear. I reckon St Kilda could nearly snatch this.
The
2 quick goals.
There's hovering around. Big highway robbery.
Big steal, do you think? Well, Michael Gale's got the football. He's going to put Richmond right up to the goal line. His left foot kick will put the ball in the square, and it bounces over for a goal. Magnificent kick, Michael Gale. Well, that was fantastic, wasn't it? He's kicked it for outside 50. He's been on the bench for a long part of the game, and he's kicked Richmond's 17th goal.
Once again, Campbell doing well out of the middle of the ground. Well, you wouldn't have thought he'd kick the goal even from here. And it only travels at about 15 to 20 feet off the ground. It just seemed to float, and it's fooled everybody in the goal square and rippled through.
17-11 to 13-13 after an amazing run by Gale. Trip. Darcy not paid. It's a handy break now. 4 goals. Pretty late in the match. Still got plenty of this last quarter to go, but we're getting up to about halfway through it. Quite dark here at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. Vidovic, Brown, Miranda. They might be frightened to turn the lights on. Burke with him, Bond. Free kick to Richmond. Centre half back. Done reasonably well on Burke. Good take by Harrison. Gives it off to Brendan Gale. Brendan Gale forced to kick in a hurry, but gets distance on the left. Richardson on the back. Well done, Shanahan. Bardsley quickly across the face, hoping the bounce favours Richmond. Daffy's handball over the top. Pressure on now from the Saints at the back. Lappin gone. Now taken by Daffy. Daffy centering kick looking for Richardson. Shanahan with him. A boundary throw in left forward pocket. Tigers are 17-11. St Kilda 13 goals, 13. Pretty quiet day for Richardson, just a couple of goals. Richmond by 22 points.
Shanahan, very much probably an unheralded player back there in defence for St Kilda. Kicked out there by Shane Wakeland, but the mark is taken by David Burke. A lot of courage shown, and he grasped it closely to his chest. Kicked the goal in the first quarter, David Burke. Darcy, the St Kilda player there, not able to prevent David Burke from taking the mark. Not sensational stats, but a couple of his possessions have been quite important across the back line. And here he is going for his second goal. Fairly good approach and a lovely kick. It's a goal to Richmond. Goal to the Tigers, kicked by David Burke. 18-11 to 13-13, and that young man certainly making a name for himself in the Richmond colours.
Yes, it isn't Richmond blessed with those tallest players like Burke and Gasper, who can also pick up the smaller players, and their mobility allows them to get into the forward line. You see him now picking up Joel Smith, who's just replaced Jack Daniels.
Big lead now as Harvey tries to take it out of the centre within Prescott. Harvey ridden into the ground, play on called. Ground taken by Gale, and it's going to be a bounce. Rowan Saws wants it. 13-13 to 18-11.
Good by Prescott there not to give any sort of a free kick away on Harvey.
He's played extremely well, Robbo. Intelligently all day. Smith missed it. Burke dropped it. Should be gone. He has. Good decision. Young to take the free kick about 60 metres from goal. Be too far out, but he has Everitt and Loewe deep. Loewe leading now. Held up as I speak. No one on the mark. Young could have run in. He now chips to full forward, looking for a mark. Everitt. I think Lowe's been paid. He has. Marks his spot. I think they're too far back anyway, even if he kicks it. 5 goals behind. Had enough chances, you think, the Saints. Not a bad game from Loewe. Hasn't quite done enough though. He's edged at home, he's 4th. So getting late goals. But 14-13 to 18-11. 3.5 goals the margin. It's been that story for a lot of the day.
Had a pretty good game, Young. He just chips the ball up into the high percentage area there for St Kilda. More high percentage for St Kilda than most sides because they've got such tall forwards in Everitt and Loewe, and both of those fellows raffled it in the finish. It has been a good battle between Stewart Loewe and Brendan Gale, and I don't think Brendan Gale will be too disappointed with his performance.
Any significance in the fact that Richmond have had 9 goal kickers as against St Kilda with just 5 goal kickers?
Well, I think there's so many players that have missed goals for the Saints that they were going to always struggle to get a big tally.
Fair enough. The ball comes clear of the centre. Michael Gale, well, similar to previously when he did kick a goal from nearly up to that area. Peckett, handballs to no one in particular. Close to the boundary line, Harrison and Darryl Wakeland. Boundary throw in. Not a bad crowd there, Bruce.
Yeah, 39,029, Robert.
Well, it didn't look too hot early, but obviously the people, well, they're well spread here at the MCG. Tony Brown couldn't get out. Hand pass. Kick forward by Daffy. High to half forward. Young, well done. He plays a fair game, Matthew Young, ex-Hawthorn, and doing well for his new club, St Kilda. He kicks wide. Looks out towards the wing for Loewe. Well, the ball rebounds for Keogh. Keogh with kick number 17. Goes towards full foot. Everitt. Gee, he's hard to get around, isn't he? He's a big man. If he's out in front with his hands in front of his face, nearly impossible to stop him from getting that football.
A different looking side, the Saints, when they let the ball go from about the centre line or the centre line just forward, and they kick it directly to these 2 big blokes in Loewe and Everitt. They're almost impossible to beat one out given the ball is kicked to their advantage and not their opponents.
Everitt kicking for his 4th goal. It's a good looking kick. Was that hit the post too? God. How many posters of St Kilda had, about 4. 3 goals, 5 to Peter Everitt. 4 goals, 4 to his fellow tall forward in Stewart Loewe.
Campbell, good kick to take at centre wing, looking for Miranda, needs a good bounce. Young and Harrison, well done Young, in a bit of trouble, he played it beautifully actually to Lappin, bad kick under pressure. That's young Moore come on the ground for his first run, now Lappin, got it through, looking for Joel Smith, put the tackle on Campbell, and held him up, play on call by Rowan Saws, bomb, now a free kick coming and going to St Kilda, to Darcy, surprising, 14-14 to 18-11, Darcy's kick.
Why would you kick it there, Bruce, when you've got the 2 blokes low and Everitt down at full forward and you've got 5 minutes to play?
Campbell's got it as a result.
I think he was that far out, there was a player there just off to the right, which it was intended for, but their kicking does let them down, their field kicking. This is Charles on centre wing, into full forward, good kick, and the mark is taken by Richardson. And the difference, the field kicking, just a little bit more precision with the Tigers. 18-11 plays 14-14. Matthew Richardson, he's kicked 2 goals. Should get the distance from here. He'll be kicking from 50 metres. Hooks the kick across the face of goal, and it's helped over for a rush behind to Richmond. So the Tigers now 18 goals 12, lead St Kilda 14-14, margin 22 points. We've got 7.5 minutes left. Short kick in has been marked by Bardsley.
A couple of bounces, then delivers the ball to centre wing, Wakeland the target. Good effort there by Holland to punch it away. Darcy coming off the ground earlier, coming back on. So the boundary throw in at centre wing, the Saints trailing by nearly 4 goals. They've been beaten by 22 points on a couple of occasions this year, 24 points on another 2 occasions, 5 times this season by 4 goals or less, and the other time by 5 in their defeats. And they're trailing by about 4 goals at the moment. So it's been a similar story all year. Burke around the body, doesn't go very far. Punch forward by Charles. Taken well by Harrison. It's been quite impressive. Kicks to Miranda. Got a bad bounce. Young got a better bounce, but made it work for him. Then gives it off. Want a good bounce here. Neil, high tackle, free kick St Kilda. To Neil. Was there. Back to Lappin. Now to attack long. Everitt the target. Sets himself. Gasper. Jones. Well read. Handball of beauty. Burke should kick the goal. 30 metres out. He's got it. Well played Aussie Jones. Nathan Burke's first. And still they give you some hope. They could still get up. It's 15-14 to 18-12.
Well, Anthony Darcy was taken off the ground, and it's no wonder. You only kick the ball to centre half forward from the outside of the peripheral areas of the ground if the player can play on and get a set shot. And that's the difference. You see the long kick down to the tall forward. They don't have to mark the ball. If it gets down there quickly, it gives their crummers some chances. Aussie Jones robes it well. Runners run down. Burke kicks a goal. The Saints are in business. Now, if there's anything complicated about that, Robbo, then I've played a different game of footy.
Did you see much in the free kick to Neil? The Richmond supporters obviously weren't happy with it. We might get another chance to have a look at it. But Joel Smith, Michael Gale, now David Burke for Richmond. Left foot kick towards half forward. Covers the players there. In goes Bardsley. In goes Daffy. Gee, that was a fierce attack on the football. Wakeland gets it out somehow. Lappin taken by Harvey. Out into the path of Keogh. He's on his unfavoured side, but he does it effectively. Gets it down to half forward. Lowe has the ball. Who's he got the kick to? He's got to get it long to Everitt. It falls a bit short. Everitt. It's punched back towards half back. Richmond will make it. Rebound now. Broderick. Not a lot of space, but he gets the handball to the middle of the ground. Campbell over the top, into the path of Prescott. Prescott off his left foot, high towards full forward. Shanahan, good punch away. Down goes Moore. And he It's locked up about 30 metres out from the Richmond goal. And that is young Ben Moore, number 28 for Richmond, having a run in the latter part of the game. 5 minutes left, 16 points, Richmond's advantage.
Vidovic's quick kick. Charles takes it up. The Prescott was able to hold up Harvey effectively. Charles will bang it back in to the scoring range. Richardson and a couple against him. Shanahan and Vidovic. Well done, Shanahan. To Waitland, to Brown. They can't make an error here to Burke. Must be efficient, St Kilda, if they're to have any hope. They've still got enough time. Burke on. This is not what they wanted. Oh, then Harvey runs into his own man. Gee, Saintus. Back to Young. Just a floater wobbler, hoping. Ryan didn't take the mark, but gets it away. And surely the Saints have had their fill. I know Pickett's on the end of it, but the game's gone, you'd say.
Just a misunderstanding. There's been a player down behind play, and it's going to be a free kick to Richmond, but between Tony Brown and Robert Harvey. Gee, the man flowing with the ball should have been allowed to keep coming. Broderick, close to the line, kicks to the goal square. I'll tell you what, they've got a score out of it, but oh, gee, that defensive work down there left a little bit to be desired. That ball could have easily bounced the other side of the goal post for a goal. 18, 13, 15, 14, 4 minutes left. And the kick in, straight to centre half back, and the mark is taken there by Rod Keogh. Handball away to Nathan Burke. Burke's kick is high, out towards right half forward. Third in line was Loewe, couldn't take the mark. Joel Smith overruns it. Ryan, we've already spoken about him being an interesting prospect. Harvey into the path of Jones. Go for it, Aussie. Make a hero of yourself, Aussie Jones. He unselfishly goes into half forward. It's beaten Neil completely. Left break, off break, whatever you call it. And away goes Campbell for the Tigers. His vision was good. He got it to Gasper. Gasper gets past his opponent, then puts it back into the middle of the ground to Campbell again. Off to Harrison. Harrison's handball. They're just sharing it around now, the Tigers. Justin Charles goes for goal. It's a beautiful long kick. And Justin Charles gets his second goal of the game. Terrific football, Richmond. Just that little bit more efficient than St Kilda. 19-13 to 15-14 Richmond lead.
Well, the shortest way home here, the Tigers. And Justin Charles, who's played a little bit in the ruck and a little bit at centre half forward, but what he's done very well today. That was, if there was any doubt, the seal.
19-13 to 15-14. Yes, Charles has been excellent. 127 to 104. Vidovic punches forward to Jones. Handball inside, looking for Brown under pressure. Rod, Prescott, terrific. Broderick, terrific. Out wide, good kick. Daffy's kick 5. He fancies number 6. He's probably too far out. Gets distance. Richardson's got it. It ricocheted off the chest and came back and he's taken the mark.
Well, it was like the reflex slip cuts, that one. He didn't know it was coming to him, Matthew Richardson. Just about sunk in the barrel chest.
So he's going to kick his third goal by the look of it. So it's been a handy contribution in the end. I know that one when the game's won, but 3 goals. Hasn't been his big day, but handy. 20-13 to 15-14. The Tigers are now looking at a pretty handsome win.
It has been a big day for Paul Broderick, who had to put up with a tagger for most of the day, and he's done very well with nearly 30 possessions. And Nick Daffy, almost best on the ground, you'd think, with 5 goals, 25 possessions off a half-forward flank. A wonderful return to form by Daffy.
Matthew Richardson, 3 goals. And of course on the other side of the ledger, St Kilda have had some good goal scorers. Aussie Jones has kicked 5, Stewart Loewe 4 and Peter Everitt 3. The ball favours, the bounce favours Nick Daffy. 2 minutes left, Daffy back onto his right foot, his 22nd kick. And a great mark, Richardson. He stood his ground well then. The other one may have been a little surprising, the one on the chest, but that was a good mark.
and it was Young coming over the top to try and help out Jamie Shanahan, but didn't get near it. The free kick would have been paid, if not the mark to Richardson.
Just having a look up, maybe trying to work out whether there's any breeze that might affect this flight of the ball, but not from this range. He just kicks it straight over the goal umpire's head for another goal to the Tigers. 4 goals to Matthew Richardson. Daffy has kicked 5. Chris Naish has kicked 3, and 2 each to Justin Charles, Ben Holland and David Burke.
Well, it was Prescott that got the big punch out of the middle, and it was Daffy who roved it, and he's done a very good job around the centre square. It bounced down Nick Daffy.
Won every quarter, Richmond, in the match. So it's been a decisive victory in the end. 21-13 now to 15-14. Margin 35 points. It's the biggest of the day so far. Burke out of the centre. Lowe's little handball trying to get to Elliott. Been good across here, Richmond. Gale had a swipe at it. Quick kick on by Neil. Going to be close. Took a good bounce. And Robert, I think that's 4 or 5. Hit the post.
Well, your luck's either in or it's not. Let's hope Greg Norman's is in for the next 2 days.
21-13 to 15-15.
Got nothing to do with the footy, Bruce, but
might have had a bit on the 16th today, Robbo. Sucked back in for the big eagle. We're all going for him. Forced forward by Bond. Naish, a bit quieter in the second half, but very good game. Harrison, he's done all right. It's been good. Kicks to half forward. Nice take by Lappin. So at half-back Lappin came in on Tuesday night. Loewe, good strong take. Lowe's stats and Everett's are reasonable for forwards. In fact, they're pretty impressive. That we've said a number of times today they've had too many wasted chances. Smith at the side. Tate probably should have got a free kick. Now Gale floats one back to young Ben Moore. Can he get a touch? Got a bad bounce. Lappin, good kick to Elliott. To goal in the second quarter, Elliott. Kick back in the Neil direction. Gasper at the back. Well done. Now Gasper to Gale. In trouble, Gale. Taken by Jones. And he just pops it up, hoping for a miracle, really. And deliberately forced to the line. But it makes no difference. The Tigers end their losing streak and inflict the biggest defeat on St Kilda for the season. 34 points. They might be back on track, Jared.
Yeah, I was pretty impressed with the Tigers today, Bruce. I didn't tip them before the match. And I think a lot of their younger players have taken another step forward, the likes of David Burke and Darren Gasper, who was most impressive today. Really made their half-back line quite an attacking line. I think that was probably their best line this afternoon. Also with Paul Broderick just continuing on his fine season, but I think most importantly the return to form of Daffy and Chris Naish, despite Naish being perhaps a little bit quieter in the second half, just makes them a more potent force and able to cover the forward line if the likes of Matthew Richardson doesn't have his best day. Justin Charles, who was their key ruckman for most of the first half of this season, went to centre half forward today and did particularly well. Brendan Gale did a commendable job on Stewart Loewe. In fact, he may have almost taken the honours there against Stewie Loewe, whose kicking did let him down badly today. So all smiles around for the Tigers. So we see a couple of their young players there in Burke. And I think it's Damien Ryan there just celebrating as they go into the victors' huddle.
So the final scores at the Melbourne Cricket Ground: Richmond 21-13, 139 to St Kilda 15-15, 105.
Well, there's a thing about football.
Only the second time this season Richmond manages to kick 20 goals in a match, and they did it pretty well in the end. 21-13, 139. St Kilda 15-15, 105. The goal kickers today: Daffy 5, Richardson 4, Naish 3, and then Charles, Holland and Burke 2 each. And for St Kilda, Jones 5, Loewe 4, Everitt 3, and then Smith, Elliott and Burke. Well, they were impressive. They've broken their losing run, Jared, Richmond, but the Saints have now lost 4 and they're going to struggle as we take a look at some highlights of the match.
Yeah, well, I think you'd have to look at this game in a positive frame of mind from the Tigers' perspective, because they have got a lot of younger players playing particularly well. They did look like the Tigers of last year in many respects, and I think part of that was the fact that Daffy and Naish were a formidable force on the ground for the Tigers. They got 8 goals between them. But from a St Kilda perspective, by golly, it was one of the most frustrating games I think I've seen this season. The amount of mistakes they made, both in defence in particular in the first and second quarters, and then up forward in the second half of the game, was quite phenomenal, and I'm sure Stan Els would be a very frustrated AFL coach as we speak. This was probably one of the sealers of the game, with Michael Gale just running down, nobody at the back of the square there. Ball wasn't read by anybody particularly well, and Michael Gale kicked, well, it was probably almost a fluke in the finish. They're the numbers for the match, and as you can see, almost even as far as possessions go. Free kicks even. Out of the centre,
That's amazing, Joe. They're practically absolutely the same. I haven't seen anything like that.
So I think it just came down to efficiency with the football. Richmond were pretty good. St Kilda were pretty awful.
Yeah, so not much difference in the stats there, but on the scoreboard, Richmond by nearly 6 goals. Let's take a look at the highlights from the Optus Oval, North Melbourne and Sydney.
Get out of it, back to Kelly. Kelly the high one, look out for Lockett from behind. Oh, the man Mountain.
Inside the centre square. He's got Lockett again. He gets it across the ground. Unselfish play.
Fairly. Inside the centre square. Look out. Taken down by Lewis. It spills across to Arnold, who finds Kickett. Kickett a little too fancy. Grant running into an open goal. Wants to repay the debt. Goes to Lockett. Turns around goal.
Well, what an amazing scoreline. Great for Paul Roos to in his 300th match. Sydney 24 goals out. I know Lockett had a big second half and looked like Shannon Grant had a big match. And North Melbourne 10-13. So somebody will take their place tonight, either Carlton or Brisbane, on top of the table. That's a huge win for Sydney. Let's leave the Optus Oval, go to Kardinia Park, where Geelong were having a struggle with Footscray in the first half. Here are the highlights.
Come to the half-forward line. Grant at the back. Couldn't mark. Alice, was he caught high? Umpire didn't think so. Here's a chance. As it comes over the Mitch. Oh, they've lost it. Lord, he's still got it. They can still kick a goal because he gives it to Couch. Couch into an open goal and right through the middle. And that was sensible play to steady the ship then and not try and play on. But a very poor kick by Alice. Straight to Brewer. Brewer to mention. I think this might be a goal coming up. David mentions a very good kick for goal. Will it get there? Was it touch? I think it's a goal, all right. Yes. Don't seem to have that same spark that they had earlier. There's Colbert. Over the back is Brewer. Races in the goal. And that might be shut the gate. It is, as far as the goal is concerned.
So Geelong finishing all over the top of Footscray with 7 goals to 2 in the final term and a big second half, 12-6. They won 20 goals, 9, very accurate, and they're going well, the Cats. Footscray, 12 goals, 13. Well, Hawthorn were coming back strongly against Adelaide at Waverley Park after the Crows jumped them. Here are the second half highlights.
Condon takes the ball out of the pack now. Quick mark by Dunstall. Oh, what a captain's quarter. He's kicked 3, lining up for his 4th. It's there! Majority of them being Hawthorn supporters. Very vocal in that third term. David Brown. Quick handball, quick smooth hands to Ashuto, run into an open goal. Beautiful play by the Crows. Randall, Bone and Pittman. McCabe, rush kick. Gains about 5 or 6 metres off to Kepler. Gets rid of it quickly. Richard Taylor kicks it high, kicks it long. It's one-on-one with Hargraves. Hargraves! Directly in front, looking for his second. and some breathing space.
Well, the Crows just can't manage it in Melbourne. They kicked 1-6 in the last quarter to 3-4. Dunstall having a terrific third term. Well done, Hawthorn. They're back in the race, maybe. 16-12 to Adelaide, 14 goals, 15. I say back in the race. Let's look at the ladder and we'll see what's happened today. North are on top, but they will be displaced tonight by the winner of Carlton and Brisbane. Geelong are nice and cosy. Sydney, a terrific win, important percentage with so many teams having a draw. Then Essendon and West Coast, they both play tomorrow in separate games. Adelaide really struggling with 3 consecutive losses, their percentage being eroded. Richmond boost up. Look at Hawthorn, they've really climbed up. The Saints seemingly out of it now. Footscray couldn't possibly make it, and Melbourne play Fitzroy. So let's look ahead. We've got 3 games I know tomorrow, but next Friday night becomes a huge game for Richmond and Adelaide.
It does, and well, being in Melbourne, you just automatically now go for Richmond.
Well, they look good today. Collingwood and Carlton at the MCG, no doubt a big crowd, but Collingwood seem to be battling. They've got West Coast tomorrow and then Carlton. That's not a nice menu in the space of 6 days.
No, if they pull the victory against Carlton, it would be a major upset. And I guess you'd have to say down at Cardinia Park, Geelong would be favourites against Fremantle. Hawthorn and Fitzroy now I guess you'd have to lean towards Hawthorn after a couple of consecutive victories. And Brisbane, Melbourne would certainly favour Brisbane, despite the fact, well, it is at the Gabba at night.
And then on the Sunday, Sydney with a chance to really consolidate. They play Footscray, who beat them up there last year. North and Essendon will have a real edge to it now after North's defeat. And St Kilda, well, that's the worst possible scenario. They have to go to Subiaco on Sunday, and they're desperate for a win. They've lost 4 consecutive matches.
Yes, against the West Coast, who are really one of the form sides with Sydney now, the competition. It would be a big ask for the Saints. But I guess if they could take anything out of today, it's when they play direct, they're a far better side. You go to the Whitten Oval tomorrow, and that's the live game on Sports AFL, the match between Fitzroy and Melbourne tomorrow. So you can catch that at 2 o'clock from the Whitten Oval, and Melbourne in winning form against Collingwood last week. Thanks for that, Jared, and also to Robbo. I hope you've enjoyed the telecast on Sports AFL. We're Richmond today. We're pretty impressive in the end in winning by 34 points against St Kilda. Good afternoon.
Doubt it's bigger than I'd ever thought it was going to be. The original idea was to try and create a little bit of art surrounding football. We felt that there wasn't really enough artwork related to football, and it is a major part of our community life, this game of Australian football. So it started there. We've got 38 new works of art, which are fantastic. And but we've got a visual history of the game of Australian football. We've delved into all the club archives, and they've provided for us some fantastic memorabilia, photos, paintings, all those sorts of things. So we have a great running history of Australian football. It started over 12 months ago, and it's been really brought together over that period of time. You don't get works of art like these done overnight, but to find everything too has been a remarkable piece of searching, research that Robert Lindsay and his helpers have engaged in. It'll never happen again because a lot of these pieces are out of boardrooms and the inner sanctums of clubs. And I don't think we'll ever have a chance to really pull it all out of the clubs and put it together like this. The Centenary year was really the excuse. The football has had a lot of film produced about it. It's had plays produced. It's had songs written about it. But there's very little art. And art is an expression of the community's interests in things. And Australian football has got a tremendous interest. So we thought, it's crazy that cricket and all these other sports have a lot of artworks using that sport as a subject. Why not football? So that was the genesis of the idea, and we approached Robert Lindsay, who got the artists together, and hence you see this fantastic exhibition now. The Coca-Cola AFL Premiership Cup has only ever been silver. in the Centenary year we've made it gold, and it really does come up a treat, doesn't it? It looks magnificent. I think the club that wins this year's flag will really have something special in their trophy cabinet. There's a great painting of Teddy Whitten, I think, that is fantastic. There are some great moments captured in the art as well as the photographs around the wall. I mean, people will find different things to tug at the heartstrings, I'm sure.
The 1996 European Soccer Championship. From 16 nations they have come, from every corner of Europe, coming to do battle on the soccer fields of England. The prize, the most coveted title in world soccer outside the World Cup itself, the 1996 European Championship. Over 3 solid weeks of international soccer, Europe's 16 top teams will be roared to victory by thousands of their travelling supporters at England's world-famous soccer stadia, including the hallowed turf of Wembley in London. 31 of the best international soccer games you'll ever see. The 1996 European Championship continues live through to the final on the #1 station for international grandstand events, Optus Channel 11.
I can still remember when I first saw the game. Remember just how good the feeling was. I was never quite the same. A family there beside me, and we all went on to say that we'd never find another game like the game we saw that day. So we watched the champions coming up, and we watched the champions fall. We watched the champions hanging on with their backs against the wall. We had our share of heroes, there were many there, it's true. But those were the greatest heroes I guess I ever knew. Aussie rules, I thank you for the best years of our lives. All those hazy, crazy young days, all those fun days in our lives. I thank you for the laughter, and I thank you for the tears, and I thank you just for helping us to overcome our fears. And I thank you for 100 years. And through those times of plenty, and through those times of strife, you were always there on Saturday, give meaning to our lives. It was hard to dwell on bad times, it was hard to dwell on doubt. It was hard to dwell on other things when your team came running out. Now the time has passed us, and now the nation's grown. The kids dressed up in colours, they've got heroes of their own. My family there around me, I still hear them say, there'll never be a better game than the game we have today. Aussie rules, I thank you for the best years of our lives. All those magic sunny Saturdays, there were no better days in our lives. I thank you for the laughter, and I thank you for the tears, and I thank you just for helping us to overcome our fears. And I thank you